All right, hello and welcome everyone. I'm Susanna. I'm the visionary business weaver at Reweaving the World, and I'm also the host of today's Meet the Soul of Your Business Hangout training. And I'm here with three women I totally, completely adore. So there's Sallena Pool, who is my collaborative partner. She's producing our Hangout, and I'm also going to be interviewing her a bit later so you can hear her story. So Sallena, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
I'm also here with two other extraordinary women. I think I just did this because I wanted to hang out with three other great women. So there's Kelly Lubeck. Kelly, hi there. And then there's Sarai Shapiro. And I'm going to be interviewing both of you in a little bit later. And so for those of you who are watching, whether now or later, I am just really honored that you're here. This is my first Hangout, so I'm pretty excited about it. I feel a little bit like I'm on TV. We're going to go for 2 to 2.5 hours, and then you'll get an email with a link to the recording. So if you can't stick around for the entire time, you can watch the rest later. But it's really good to be here live because it's just great energy. Now, the intention for this training is to explore what I see as the 4 essential pillars that your transformative business needs in order to grow into what it's meant to be and to be able to flourish financially, all while being sourced from soul. And in fact, meeting the soul of your business and learning how to partner with it, it's really the first pillar, the essential starting point, and it informs everything else. So rather than me talk at you nonstop for 2.5 hours, which would get a little tiring, Sallena and I have made this more conversational, and then you get to watch and listen and engage in the chat. Yes, thank you for congratulations on my first Hangout. So let me introduce you a little bit further to the amazing Sallena Pool. We met 2 years ago when she was a participant in my small group program, partnering with the soul of your business, creating the body of your work. And you'll hear a little bit more about that later. And within a year, we had become good friends, and we started to collaborate in a variety of ways with a whole lot more to come. Now, Sallena's business is called Conscious Collaborations, and through it, she partners with leaders who are taking us into the new paradigm where business meets spirit. And she helps visionary entrepreneurs refine their leadership and their presence and their influence through creative and inspirational forms of communication. Some of them are in person, some are virtual events like this one. And they're really on the leading edge of relational marketing. So that's Sallena. And with that, Sallena, can you tell folks just how they can participate in our Hangout? Although it seems people are already got the hang of it on the chat, but go for it anyway.
Yeah, I think everyone does. Sure. Thanks for that nice introduction. We really want this Hangout to be informative, inspiring, and interactive. And so we invite you to engage in the chat like you're doing. And all throughout, you can ask questions, you can make comments. We're going to ask you to sort of reflect and maybe share some stories with us as you're moved to. If you haven't already discovered it, the white column on the right of your screen is the message box, where you can post your comments and respond to comments from others. I see lots of you are saying hello. Hi, everybody. I see Gabrielle saying hi. You know, we have a house full today, and I'm really excited about that. So that's just exciting. So for those of you who stay with us to the end, Susanna is going to be giving away a private life purpose hand analysis reading that reveals the various elements of your life purpose, plus what gets in the way of you living it. And this normally goes for $497. And one lucky person who stays to the end with us gets to, we're just going to draw someone randomly, and then you'll get this incredible reading with Susanna. I've had one, and let me tell you, it still informs me constantly in my business and in my life. So stick around, and maybe you'll be the lucky winner. Okay, so let's get started. Susanna, would you please give us some hints and tell us who this training's for so that people know they're in the right place?
Absolutely. And first I just want to say I see so many people I know in the chat. So hello, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. I wish I could give you all a hug, but here it is, virtual hug for everybody. So, if you're like many entrepreneurs in the business of facilitating transformation, you've got what I call a medicine bag full of gifts, talents, experience, knowledge, life wisdom, and it's yours to bless the world with. And maybe you've been doing your work persistently for a few years, but you haven't yet gotten traction. So you're not creating the income you need. You're not serving at the level you feel called to. And this can be frustrating and disappointing, and it can seriously erode your confidence, and you may start wondering whether to call it quits. Alternatively, maybe you've got a successful business, but something new wants to come forth, and you can't ignore it. It could be a new aspect to your existing work, or it could be a brand new business. But either way, there's a vital clarity at the heart of your business that's needed.
So what do folks tend to do when they're in this position, Susanna?
Well, I see people, a lot of people jump into various marketing strategies with the hopes that like this next one will be like the magic bullet that, finally clears the fogs of uncertainty and, miraculously opens the floodgates of clients and income. And in most cases, this isn't what's needed, at least not now. And the reason is there's a life cycle to your business, and it needs key things at various points along the way. And anytime you're either you're starting out in business or you're going in a new direction, it's premature to try to promote something that isn't yet clear enough for the right people to say yes to. You can end up wasting a lot of time, money, and energy, and really creating heartache for yourself. And yet, here's the thing, the primary focus of most online business training programs, it's on marketing and promoting your business. And this is essential for your long-term success, but first, you need to know what your business is about. You need to know who it's for, what you're offering, and how exactly you're delivering your magic. And you also need to come into right relationship with the soul of your business so you can listen for how it wants to authentically express itself and not try to force it to be, what you or what others think it should be. So.
Oh my gosh, I so love this part, this idea that your business has a soul and you can meet it and partner with it. And this is probably the piece that's made the biggest difference for me in my business.
Yeah, I know it has, and I would say the same for me too. The truth is that all transformative businesses need core clarity on the value they offer in order to thrive. And again, whether you're starting a new business, you're developing a new aspect of your work, or you're taking an established business in a new direction, and it starts with partnering with the soul of your business. Yeah. So,
great. So tell us a little bit about this foundation. What does it consist of?
Sure. Well, I like metaphors. So foundation has kind of like 4 pillars to it. And so these are the 4 pillars that I see. There's pillar 1, which is partnering with the soul of your business. Pillar 2 is connecting with the heart of your people. Pillar 3 is creating the body of your work. And pillar 4 is crafting your transformative program.
So what happens if you don't have these 4 pillars in the foundation?
Well, you can keep trying to enroll clients in a session of your magic. That's what most practitioners do. But it's challenging because it's tough for people to know what a single session with you is going to do for them. And the other thing is, true transformation isn't a one-night stand. It needs more than one session. So that's one possibility. I've also seen folks spend thousands on a beautiful website that does nothing for them. Or they try to squeeze into a proven business blueprint that isn't a fit for them and the kind of business they want. And that's what I did. And so I know how frustrating and disappointing and demoralizing it can be. And yet, here's the thing, if you're willing to devote time, energy, and love in creating this essential clarity for yourself, you can turn your life's wisdom into marketable value that your people are hungry for and are willing to pay you for. And then once you've got that, then you can focus on marketing in all kinds of creative ways that are aligned with who you are and that will actually get you the results you want.
Great, fantastic. Now, I know that in addition to sharing some words of wisdom about these 4 pillars, you're also going to give some takeaway principles that people can apply in their own businesses right away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also going to bring the concepts to life with stories from the 3 of you, Kelly, Sarai, and you, Sallena. And these, all 3 of you, you are women I have been deeply honored to support in this process of bringing focus and form to your business. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share my story.
Yeah,
But I have to
exactly.
wait till the end.
You have to wait to the end. And here's the thing, my intention in interviewing these 3 women is to take you, who are listening and watching, beyond concepts into the lived experience these women had as they did the deeper work of creating a soulful partnership with their business and finding their people and, taking their magic and that's in their medicine bag and crafting it into a body of work and into transformative offers that strum the heartstrings of their tribe. So how we're going to do this is, first I'm going to share a bit about Pillar 1, and then we'll hear Kelly's story, and then Pillar 2, we'll hear Sarai's story, and then Pillar 3, and then Sallena's story, and then we'll complete that arc with Pillar 4, and together this larger arc of the 4 pillars journey should come into focus, and hopefully you'll see how they weave together synergistically and how together they can significantly change both how you show up in your business and how your business shows up in the world. Now, I want to be clear, these interviews are not the hypey stories of entrepreneurs who they made $1 gazillion overnight. I asked these women to share their stories because they're doing profound work that has radically shifted the course of their business and how they feel about it. And my hope is that through these real, heartfelt, inspiring stories, you'll get a deeper understanding and appreciation of this journey of bringing your great work into focus and form. And you'll also come to know whether this is a journey you want to take, need to take, and are ready to take in support of the great work that you're here to do and also the financial flourishing of your business. So. Anyway.
I forgot to unmute here. I was talking away. Lovely. Susanna, you're also going to share with us how you can work with, or how others can work with you in a high-touch group to give their businesses all 4 pillars of this foundation, if they're ready for that. So I just want to say that the doors are officially open right now to the new group for Susanna's popular Partnering with the Soul of Your Business, Creating the Body of Your Work group program, for which it will be a great fit for some of you. Mm-hmm. And in just a second, I'm going to pop in a link into the chat so that you could check that out in a separate window while you're watching the rest of our Hangout.
Great. And this is how you can write your own success story with my help if you're ready for that. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can make some real headway on this journey on your own. So
great. So before you get into explaining the 4 pillars, would you share a little bit of your own story with us?
Yeah. Anna is leaving because she doesn't have any sound or video and she can't read lips. Sorry, Anna. Hopefully you can catch it on the replay and it'll all work then. So the short version of my story is that I'm a big vision, complex gal with a ton of diverse stuff in my medicine bag. And I had no idea how to turn it into a business. And honestly, my do-it-yourself efforts had been remarkably unsuccessful. And so I hired a series of business coaches, and despite being good people and skilled at marketing, none of them could hold my complexity and help me figure out how to turn it into a business. And so I really I spun my wheels for a good 4 years while I tried to, hone in on a viable focus for my business with help that wasn't really that helpful. I invested in a lot of higher-end trainings. Some of them were good, others not so much. My savings disappeared and my debt grew. And mostly I jumped into those programs before I was ready to put what I learned to good use. And most of them tried to squeeze me into a way too small expression of what my great work wanted to be. And then because I couldn't seem to bring my own business into focus, I even tried to crawl inside of someone else's proven, for her, business model and teachings through a fancy certification that I took. And I lost my own true voice, and I felt as if I had abandoned myself and the great work I'm here to do, which I essentially had done that. Yeah.
Oh, I feel sad just hearing that part of your story.
Yeah, it was sad. Although, I learned a lot from it about what doesn't work. And it was only when I finally got clear on what I'm here to offer and who I'm here to serve and how the pieces of my genius fit together into a beautiful flow that allows me to serve my tribe. That's when I landed and I shifted into solid and sustainable income in my business. I would have loved support in that process. Someone to help me make sense of my complexity, show me what I couldn't see for myself, be a thinking partner as I developed my work. But no one offered that kind of support, especially at the depth I craved. The business programs I did, they mostly focused on how to market a business I didn't yet have. And thankfully, I learned how to listen to the soul of my business as a starting point. And slowly, a deeper truth emerged. And along the way, I discovered that this is part of my calling, guiding others who are struggling to crystallize their wisdom and their magic into clear and tangible offerings their people want. And it's what's compelled me to create this training for you and the program that I've been leading for several years. Because really, no matter where you are in your business, whether you're just starting out or whether you're redirecting your work, and no matter how long you've been trying to figure this out on your own, you can do it. And I'm a testament to that, and so are these three beautiful women and the stories that they're going to share. Here's the thing. There's a pain that I see in the online business world that mostly isn't addressed, and it's the pain of people desperately wanting to make a contribution, and instead they're getting kind of tangled up in trying to make six figures or trying to leap way ahead of where they are and leverage a business that doesn't yet exist.
Yes, I see that a lot too. We all know people who've spent a big chunk of money in high-end programs, eager entrepreneurs who gambled everything and gambled on what they hoped would happen when they invested in themselves, but they ended up disappointed because they didn't know yet what they were offering or who they were trying to serve exactly, or maybe even what their business was really all about.
Yep, we've all seen that. I must have been those people. And honestly, several of them, quite a few of them, have later ended up in the Four Pillars program with me. So I want to offer you a different option, a way to give your great work the focus and form it needs to become a purposeful, profitable business that serves you, your clients, and the world. So
excellent. So are we ready to jump into pillar number one?
Yeah, let's go there. So the first pillar is partnering with the soul of your business. And what I mean by soul is the deepest, truest essence of a thing that represents the unique and original spark of divinity it contains. And indigenous wisdom reminds us that everything has a soul. People, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, mountains, planets, stars, all the forces of nature, and also human-made things, including a business. And if you've heard of Michael Meade, he's a mythic storyteller, he says that when you follow the soul down to its depths, eventually it merges with the world. And because of this, soul is what allows anything to be in right relationship with every other thing in a living cosmos. And so the soul of your business is the particular chunk of this intelligence that resides at the deepest center of your business, and it's connected to the world. And I think that's just beautiful. It's also related to your soul because it came through you. So it's informed by your purpose and your creative calling and by your great work that needs a vehicle in order to be able to bountifully bless you, others, and the world. And like all souls, the soul of your business has an intrinsic impulse to grow and express itself in ways that are true to its nature. And you probably feel this as an impulse that can't be ignored. And so the soul of your business, it contains the energetic code for how it most authentically wants to be in the world. You could say it holds the map of its own becoming, or it carries the DNA for its own destiny. And you can make relationship with the soul of your business. You can become fluent in its language. You can learn to read the map and decode the DNA and listen to and partner with the extraordinary wisdom it carries, and then take right action on its behalf. Now, this isn't a one-time experience like, hey, I met the soul of my business, and then you're done, unless you just want to have a one-night stand with the soul of your business. This is really an ongoing relationship that you need to show up for wholeheartedly. And the more you do, the more your business can grow into what it's meant to be, not what you or someone else thinks it should be or what you're trying to force it to be. And a lot of great things happen when you do this. Growing your business can become a path for your personal and spiritual growth. It can become the place where your love flows most powerfully into the world in service, and it blesses you abundantly in return in accordance with the principle of sacred reciprocity, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about later. Yeah.
But Susanna, this isn't something that's talked about very often in business. Heck, I'd say most folks don't have any idea about this. So if you're like many entrepreneurs, you don't even know this. In fact, I'd say that even without realizing it, most solopreneurs are caught up in the commonly accepted perspective on business, which has you seeing your business as something you need to apply strategies and tactics to, so it will reliably turn out money for you.
Yeah, and some people see their business like an ATM, like, okay, time to pay me. Or they come at it like a hungry child, like it's this endless mother. So yeah, these are commonly held perspectives, even in the conscious business arena. And if you're living inside of this belief, you may resort to bossing your business around, trying to force the luminosity of your calling into, oh, I don't know, like the latest formula for business success, so that you can, be successful and make the income you need. And you can end up believing that your business needs to look a certain way in order for it to flourish, even though the innate intelligence in your business needs something else entirely. What can happen is eventually that passion and joy and hope you initially felt when you started out, it can wane, and the whole thing gets infused with struggle and doubt and angst. But you don't have to go that route. If you start by partnering with the soul of your business, engage in conversation together, ask it how it wants to authentically express itself, and then what it needs from you to do so, and then take action, appropriate action out in the world every day. You can't just listen and then go sit on the couch and eat bonbons. You have to take action. And then doing this will help you feel confident that you're growing the right business for you, and that it's one that aligns with your passion, and it honors your calling, and it furthers your vision, and it really allows you to bless the world with your gifts. And it's one that compensates you generously in return. And so this is where it all starts. And the best way I've discovered to come into a relationship with the soul of your business is through this timeless wisdom practice that I learned through my many years of leading vision quests, and then I adapted into what I call a medicine walk with the soul of your business.
Oh my gosh, the medicine walk. It's such a powerful process. In fact, I think lots of the people who are with us today have recently taken a medicine walk as part of their larger free learning adventure that you, Susanna, have been facilitating. And if you haven't, there's still one day left, but if you have, we'd love to hear in the chat what insights you may have gleaned from your business about the experience. So go ahead and type that in as you're listening, if you would.
Yeah. Oh, Brenda, I love what you're saying, that you were taught this by one of your elders. That's really beautiful. Thank you for saying that. And yeah, I would love to hear from anyone who has taken a medicine walk with me, the free one, in the last 3 weeks. Love to hear what's emerged for you. If you don't know what a medicine walk is, it's an intentional walk in nature taken to gain insight, wisdom, and guidance in response to an important question. And since nature mirrors back to us the secrets of our own true nature, a medicine walk can help you hear the language of soul, including the soul of your business. And that listening is the first step in growing a new kind of relationship with your business, one that shifts from ownership to partnership. And it's a relationship, honestly, that can support you for the rest of the life of your business.
Yeah, I know I've told you how pivotal that first medicine walk I did with you 2 years ago was, and that it just totally altered the course of my business. But did I ever tell you that it still reveals gems of insights to me all this time later?
Wow, really? 2 years later?
Yeah, 2 years.
And it's still speaking to you. I love hearing that. Although, honestly, I'm not surprised. I've had medicine walks that still inform me. Now, one of the things that can happen as you open the door to co-creative partnership with the soul of your business is that it reveals to you a truer expression of your work. And so let me give you a personal example. So several years ago, I was already working as a business coach, and I was trying to figure out what made me unique in this sea of vanilla business coaches. So I did a medicine walk, and I was shown that a big part of my mission is helping visionary entrepreneurs grow a thriving business in partnership with the soul of it, and also in ways that help us restore the sacred to how we do business. So today, I'm still a business coach, and yet my successful business has evolved in ways that beautifully express its own soul. And I've incorporated the sacred as I've grown my business. It's woven into it, and I help my clients do the same. And I'm always, expanding how I express that bigger mission of my work, because I know that when we grow our business in alignment with its own soul, everything is easier. And when we bring the sacred into how we do business, then business itself can become a healing force in our world. And so this is a deeper cut to my work that emerged through a medicine walk, and it includes, and yet it goes way beyond the business coaching I was doing previously. And it's really not something I could have ever reasoned my way to.
Yeah, probably not. So share some suggestions that you might have for folks on how they could do this for themselves.
Well, find something that allows you to turn down the volume on the mind and turn up the volume on the soul. Let go of trying to figure out your business with your rational mind, because really it just draws from what it already knows, and it can only offer up more of the same. So instead, relax into letting that insight you seek to emerge from the soul of your business, because it already knows how it wants to express itself authentically. So, it's easy to say that. How do you do it? Well, dig into your own medicine bag for whatever tools you have that allow you to bypass the thinking mind and to access the language of soul. Maybe it's making creative soul art, or expressive dance movement, or some sort of wild writing or voice dialogue process. There's probably something you already have in your world that you can turn to. Probably something you do with clients that you could just do it yourself. Now, once I've completed enrollment for this upcoming program that I mentioned, and things have kind of settled down in my world, I'm going to send you, all of you who have signed up, my 3-part self-guided medicine walk with the soul of your business. So it has the instructions on how to do your medicine walk that you already got, but it also has guidance on how to glean the insight it has to offer you, how you can do that on your own. So that's another way. It'll be coming at some point.
Wow, what a lovely gift. Yeah. I'd suggest that whatever way you choose, just do it. Go meet the soul of your business. Open up a channel to receive the guidance that it has to offer you, and allow your great work and thriving business to emerge in this beautiful way.
Indeed. Just go do it.
So let's go ahead and transition. I think we're about right on time. We've got lots of people sharing tidbits from their medicine walk, which is great. Let's transition to our first interview so we can begin to see how this unfolds in someone's actual business. So for all of you here, we ask that you please listen to these stories with respect, compassion, and open heart and deep gratitude. it's kind of scary to be here, and we really want Kelly and Sarai especially to feel warm and welcome. So listen for the inspiration and the possibility they share in each of their stories, and what in the story might offer you a different way to approach and make sense of or grow your own business.
Great. Thanks for that tip on how to listen. All right, well, let me introduce you to Kelly Lubeck, and her website is kellylubeck.com. It's Kelly Lubeck. And a few years ago, or actually a few years after birthing her son, which also was a few years ago, Kelly had started a small high-end coaching business for pregnant women and postpartum moms. And her passion had caused her to ignore advice from her mentor at the time that new moms tend not to invest in themselves because they're, so focusing their resources on their children. And so despite a lot of hard work on her part and a lot of responses like, wow, I wish I would have had that when I was a pregnant or new mom, it never got any consistent traction. And in a few moments, we're going to hear how she's giving shape to a totally new business that weaves together so much more of who she is and what she has to offer, and that she's actually even more passionate about, if that's possible. And it involves, here's a little advanced notice of what it involves: changing culture and a movement. So I spilled the beans on you, Kelly. So first, welcome, Kelly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your story is one that will inspire complex, multi-passionate, divergent visionaries who suspect they've been pursuing a path in business that it isn't full enough and fruitful enough for them, and yet they don't know what the right path is. And you came into the 4 Pillars program feeling this, yet still imagining, I found this kind of adorable, that we'd somehow tidy up your previous business and that it would just take off and thrive in a way that it hadn't. And yet, as you complete the 4 Pillars journey, just you're in the last few weeks of it, what's taking shape in your business is totally different and quite astonishing even to you. So my sense is that your story will really inspire, those who want to grow a business that does beautiful transformative work with clients, and that it also helps shift cultural patterns in a particular, arena. So let's just have you start by telling us a little bit about where you were in your business before you began the 4 Pillars journey.
Sure. Well, first, I just want to say I'm so honored to be here with you, and thank you for having me. So, yeah, I've long felt like I have something really meaningful to do in the world, and for decades, this manifested as very intense service work while I was dabbling in healing on the side. And for years, I had my walls just covered with this colorful patchwork of ideas that I had mind mapped out on flip charts of all these different things that I felt really drawn to offer. And then a few years ago, I decided it was really time to do something about my longing. And so I joined this year-long business program. And I got a lot of really great information and a lot of great coaching from it. But because I was just starting out, you were talking about the timing thing, it wasn't really what I needed at the time, and ultimately I wasn't able to create what I'd hoped for with it. So it was also a really large group program, so I didn't get the level of attention that I needed to start a new business. I did manage to enroll a few women in high-end pregnancy and postpartum programs, but my programs were generally just way beyond what women were willing to pay for them. And those who did invest experienced really tremendous life transformations, but I just didn't find many who were willing to invest at that level of work in themselves. So most wanted, low fee group support, and my program just wasn't designed for that. And so then I started getting clients who weren't at all in this niche, and they were clients who wanted healing and coaching from me, since that's a big part of what was in my medicine bag. So I threw together all these different programs that I thought, okay, people would want this, but still only a few people enrolled. And when I think about it, just metaphorically, it kind of feels like I had all of these awesome ingredients laid out and chopped up, but they never quite came together into this delicious meal that I was envisioning. So yeah, I kept hoping it would be enough, but it wasn't, and I was honestly flailing.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember that your Mad Chef days. Yeah, right. So I'm curious, how did that feel?
Well, when I first stepped into that the other business coaching program, I thought I had found my ticket to financial freedom doing the work that I really felt passionate about and that I loved. And I imagined, bingo, I'll bring in 25,000 in my first few months and we're set and I'll just keep expanding from there. And again, really doing what I loved, but I just figured it was kind of an easy, packaged way to move into this. And I will say I naively turned down a high-paying job that had been in negotiation for months because I felt so confident that I had found this path to success doing what I wanted to do, or what I felt called to do. And so, instead of taking the sort of slow and steady approach, I made 3 cross-country moves as a single mom with a toddler, all while I just threw myself into getting my new business off the ground. So it didn't quite pan out as I imagined it would, and it was, it was often frustrating and at times felt a little devastating.
Yeah, and I wish I could say that yours is the only version of that story, but I hear it a lot. Yeah. So then you started working with me, and obviously, as you mentioned, there's other coaches out there. There's a lot of business coaches, and so I'm curious if you would say, a little bit about what drew you to me.
I would love to. So you had been a coach in that year-long program that I did, and so I'd already had a great experience with you. And specifically, your responses to what I posted in the online forum that we had were of such high value and just so full of wisdom and compassion, and they touched me at a level that no one else had, no other mentor had outside of my most powerful teachers. Mm-hmm. And I also find you to be really incredibly reachable and approachable, and I saw you in some ways as this like greater, more expansive version of myself that I was wanting to step into. So I just kept following you, and I watched launch after launch of yours, and I put on my altar work with Susanna, which I ultimately did, and then I joined a 6-month mastermind that you led, and I was just blown away by your wisdom and guidance and your expertise and capacity, mm-hmm. and your generosity, and I just deeply appreciate your real and your raw honesty, and it speaks volumes in this world of business growing, and you're a compassionate truth teller, and you tell stories that speak to the reality of things in ways that honor where people are at on their paths, and that means a lot to me. So I learned so much from you about what it means to be in business, but the real picture of business, not the sort of fantasy picture that's often painted by other coaches who just want people to enroll.
Wow, thank you, Kelly. It really touches me deeply to hear that, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So tell us the essence of what came into focus for you, this new focus about the work that you're called to do.
Mm-hmm. So I have a background that includes a professional path of public health and international as well as domestic service work. And I also have a pretty extensive background in alternative health and healing, so things like yoga and health coaching, mindfulness and shamanism, and a few other things in my medicine bag. And so it's a pretty complex mix, and I've often felt really split by the many directions it could take me. I would describe, my professional life and then my holistic life, and it just didn't feel very holistic at all. So working with you, though, for the first time, I saw how I could bring it all together. And I actually remember vividly in our niche discovery intensive in the 4 Pillars program, when you reflected back to me what you saw was possible for my business. And I heard your words, and they just literally penetrated my heart, and I was like, oh my God, she just totally nailed it. And it was the first time that I have ever felt totally seen in the wholeness of who I am and what I feel I'm here to do. And it it was like I'd always experienced, you know, how that experience of, you know, the elephant and the blind man, where everyone is touching a different part of the elephant and describing the elephant, and all the parts are totally true, but they're not the whole, and it's never complete. But you found a way to point to this really integrated expression of who I am and what my work could be as a result, and it just left me speechless with the power and possibility of it.
You know, I remember that moment, and I thought, is she still there? She just got completely quiet. But it's also, it's making me teary right now. It's like, wow, wow.
Yeah, I know. I remember the tears. I was like, whoa, it was really profound. And honestly, sometimes it feels a little too big, but I just keep coming back to that moment and remembering like the truth of what this is, and how that landed, and how I knew in that moment, like, this is the truth of who I am and why I'm here.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. Don't want my mascara to run.
You're on video.
So, tell us what did emerge as your new focus.
So my emerging focus is on women leaders who are on the front lines of global change, and they often find themselves completely overwhelmed or stuck or physically or emotionally sick, sometimes burned out, and then lacking that passion that used to just fuel them in their, you know, personal and collective missions. And first, I help them get out of the panic of the fight or flight and sort of unwind some of the beliefs that keep them in that really unproductive and sometimes scary place. And then help them reconnect with that passionate spirit and their desire to make real change in the world, positive change in the world, while at the same time learning to take care of their schedule and their work and their well-being, so that they can take their skills and passions and create the best and most joyful and sustainable way for them to be of service.
Remember when it used to take you like 20 minutes to say all that?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm holding back because I could get really expansive.
I know. We're going to keep it focused. Yeah. So tell us what happened, what's happening in your business as a result, and maybe a little bit about where you see this taking you.
Sure. So in terms of what's right in front of me right now, I'm currently, or continuously interviewing these women leaders and learning so much about this utter overwhelm that they experience, and that feeling of my crisis is never as important as what the people I serve are dealing with. And having been there, I know that feeling, but I'm just hearing it from so many different perspectives now. And I'm also hearing how these women want a different and better way of serving that doesn't wipe them out and isn't so scarcity focused and depleting on every front. And so I'm using the clarity that I'm gaining from the interviews, along with everything else that I have learned and that I know, and as I draft my first program for them. And so where I'm headed beyond the private support, which I'm starting to sort of pilot with people right now, is that I see myself bringing these women together into virtual community and hosting summits to share stories that open up new possibilities for women working in global change. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little nervous to say this publicly, though you've totally spilled the beans already. But it feels like a commitment by saying it, but here goes. I have gotten clear that I want to create a movement that really shifts the needle on global change work from crisis-oriented to something sustainable that's deeply infused with rich wisdom and service and courage and even joy.
All right, so folks, you saw it here. She can't wiggle out of it now. So how has your relationship with your business evolved as a result of this?
So my business she's a bit of a feminine powerhouse.
What a shock.
When I first started working with you, it kind of felt like she was running me ragged, and there was no focus or order or balance. And you talk about bossing your business around. I felt like she was bossing me around. And so now I feel like I'm partnering with my business in a different and more empowered way, where I give her guidance on how to express her wholeness through using this 4-pillar structure. And she has a place to then land, and we both end up feeling more supported. So essentially, we're coming into right relationship, into ayni, you know, for those familiar with that concept of the Quechua term ayni, and really learning to communicate with each other. And together we're walking this journey of growing a business that's in deep service in the world.
Wow. So how about you? You know, how have you changed in all of this?
How I have changed is, well, first, I've become aware of how incredibly resilient I am, and also that I have gained these new levels of courage about what I'm doing. There's just no place for no in unfolding what feels like my calling. And so with that courage and the wisdom that I'm gaining and have gained over this whole journey, I just keep putting one foot in front of the other and saying yes. And I feel like I'm stepping into the wholeness of who I am, and creating my business as a reflection of that.
Oh gosh, I just want to like have some glorious soundtrack in this moment. So what surprised you, if there was anything in all of this?
What has surprised me is I feel like the more I show up in this new arena, the more yeses that I'm getting from the tribe that I want to serve. And this sort of feeling or expression being reflected to me of, wow, is that needed? Thank you. And what's different is that it felt like before I was kind of growing my own little business that was more about me and my journey. And this one, though it includes my journey because it's an expression of me and my calling, but it feels bigger than me and not as personal, though of course it's personal. And it's sort of like, you know, the wind or the river is just moving me forward in a really different way. It's a little more in the flow.
Oh, beautiful. So to kind of wrap things up in our conversation, I'm just going to throw it open, anything else you'd like to say to folks who are listening and watching, and perhaps you know, just wondering what's here in the future for their business? Is this a journey that's relevant for them?
Sure. Well, first, I would just suggest to those who are listening to tap deeply into your inner yes and let that yes be your guide. And I like to, you know, suggest imagining yourself 3 to 5 years from now and what that future you would want to be moving towards, and keep stepping into the yeses that move you towards that. And also to say, I just don't waste your energy on the naysaying voices. They are out there and you will hear them. And as long as you keep following your yeses the whole way through, one step at a time, you're going to keep moving towards that vision. And excuse me, I would also suggest that if you feel called to something bigger and deeper with your work, but you're not clear on your path and what's coming forth for you, to find an expert guide who really resonates with you, so you don't spend precious time spinning your wheels trying to figure it out. What Susanna talked about, spending years about doing that, and I've spent years doing that, and I know plenty of people who are in that boat, and getting the guidance really makes a difference. And finally, I would say if Susanna and her approach to business resonate with you, and you want, you know, support and mentoring of someone who is truly, truly extraordinary, to pay attention to that and just know that she can help you call for something extraordinary within you. And honestly, I have yet to find a business mentor who so deeply listens and mirrors back what she sees and then calls me forth in such a powerful way, and at the same time creates this incredible container for a really clear and focused structure, and then empowers it with her soulful magic. So
thank you, Kelly. Oh, I'm really touched, and you know, I've adored having this conversation with you. So thank you for and it appears that many people in the chat have also loved hearing from you. So I keep looking over there, but I don't want to get too distracted by it. So, just thank you for gracing us with your, your wild, passionate presence, for sharing your story, so that others can imagine new possibilities for themselves. Thank you for being a woman who says yes to her calling again and again and models it. And it just thrills me what's emerging for you. And it just feels like your life's work that you can inhabit right now, and yet it will also continue to grow and evolve for years. And it's really such an honor and a joy to help you call this forth. So
thank you. And it's such an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was so beautiful, Kelly. Thank you, too, from me. And from many, many people in the chat. You're going to have a fun time reading all the kudos and glorious things that people have said when you share your story. So I just want to invite the audience to maybe, if you haven't already, to take a moment to share in the chat what feels relevant to you and your business that you may have heard or been inspired from with Kelly's story. So go ahead and post those in the chat as we continue, please.
Great. And here's what I'd like to highlight in Kelly's story. A couple of things. How her previous focus on the sacred journey of pregnancy, it was true for her and her life story. And yet it was not full enough and complete enough to feel like it was the right path for her. And then this is a really key one. How there are certain tribes of people who can benefit from your help and even wished they'd had it in hindsight, yet not be willing to invest in it at the time. And if you want a business and not a hobby or a giveaway, you're going to really want to pay attention to this so you can make the discerning decisions you need for your own focus.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, as all the love is pouring in, let's move on to the second pillar, which is connecting with the heart of your people.
Oh, I just love what's showing up in the chat, but I can't. I have to keep talking. All right. So at its core, business is about relationship. And once you've gotten into right relationship with the soul of your business, and that partnership is informing you as you go forward, next, you want to nurture and grow relationships with the people you're called to help, and the same people who are drawn to you and your message. And some of them will choose to work with you, and so then you unfold a deeper relationship with them as your clients. And for this to happen, you need to know who they are and how you can help them. And this is essentially your niche. And whether you're starting a business or you're taking an established business in a new direction, if you don't know who your people are, it's awfully hard to say anything meaningful to them, no less unfold any kind of long-term relationship.
Yeah, okay, so it's really important, but it seems so challenging to name a niche for a lot of people, even me.
Yeah, for many, it's this kind of angst-producing inquiry. It could take forever. It's what it did for me. And it triggers all kinds of fears, and while still yielding little in the way of clarity. And yet, it really is essential.
Right, yeah. Now, Susanna, don't you have some really cool definition for a niche that comes from nature?
Oh, yes, of course I do. It's an ecological perspective, and it sees a niche as the position or function of an organism in a community of plants and animals. And so let's look at an example. When you think of a niche for an oak tree, it's the rich, fertile soil in a forest ecosystem where an acorn can fulfill its destiny and grow into its, full-crowned glory in relationship with all the other plants and animals in that ecosystem. It's not, a patch of sand where it has to scrape by and struggle to grow into, a scraggly little tree.
Well, that seems like a really important distinction. I think a lot of transformative practitioners end up trying to grow their business in whatever tiny little patch of dried earth they can find.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's an expression of scarcity. Like, oh, here's a little crack of the pavement. I'll just grow my tree here. Whereas this distinction suggests that a niche is your special place in the larger community. In this case, we're talking the marketplace. It's the place where you truly belong. You have access to your greatest natural capacity, and you can most easily shine in your uniqueness, grow into your full potential, and thrive.
Wow. So yeah, how do we find a niche like that?
Well, so here's what you don't do. Rather than strategically looking, for a group of people that you think, oh, well, they'll make me a boatload of money, instead, you want to look into your life to see who you have been exquisitely honed to guide through a particular journey of transformation. Because a lot can be learned about who you're meant to serve by looking at your own life story, and especially the places where you've struggled. Because when you find your way through a challenge and you release the trauma, you emerge encoded with a particular chunk of wisdom to then guide others through that same journey. And so this is the first, big clue when niche hunting, is that the seeds of your niche are often right there in your own story if you know where and how to look for them. And then your niche resides at this sweet spot where your life's wisdom and your big why meets a compelling need in the world that you'd love to serve, and where those people are willing and able to invest in getting your help.
Yeah, that last part is key, where those folks specifically are eager to pay you for your help.
Yeah, it is key, and it's actually the part of that sweet spot that many who are so focused on being of service, they overlook it.
Yeah, and then they don't end up with a business, but an expensive hobby.
Right, and frustration and all those other feelings that can go along with it. And even knowing all this, my experience is that it can be really tough to do this process on your own for several reasons. So fears lurk all along the way. So there's fear of choosing the wrong niche. There's fear of having to turn away people that you like to help. There's fear of squashing your creative, multi-passionate self and becoming this bland, boring, blah, blah, blah business person. There's fear of not being ready to help the niche that you choose. And then there's other niche fears that I don't have the time to mention. So there's a lot of niche fears.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, looks like some people are chiming in the chat, but if you can relate to one or more of these niche fears, let us know in the chat, and you certainly won't be alone.
Yeah, and probably the biggest obstacle is that you're likely too close to clearly see things for yourself. So it's just hard to see your own picture. Like when you're inside your frame, you just can't see the picture. And yet it's essential to know your niche. And I don't mean that you could just rattle off a bunch of facts about them. That is boring, and it lacks any kind of juice. At the same time, I don't mean in this sort of vague, dreamy way, like, my niche is women who yearn to live their deepest feminine expression, because it's too unspecific. Even women who want that would not think of it in that way. And so you need to go beyond identifying them, and you need to connect with their heart and understand deeply what they struggle with in an everyday, real-world way. Know what they yearn for instead. Appreciate what's between them and their dreams, and really, truly get them, so much so that they know it and they feel it. And here's a funny example. I have a private client who she actually went through this program and then became a private client, and she used to tell me that she felt I understood what was going on for her to such a degree that it was like I was in her living room watching as she struggled to grow her business. It always made me laugh. Now, obviously, you don't want to turn into a creepy voyeur, but this is the level of knowing your niche that you want.
Yeah, that's a pretty developed and refined sense of knowing who your people really are.
Yeah, it is. And again, this is essential whether you're starting out in business or you're starting anew.
Yeah, so how do we start to look for a niche like you're talking about, really specific and not dreamy?
Right. Well, the simplest way is to look back over your life for the places where you've struggled and learned to find your own way. And this could be a single painful experience, or it could be something that happened to you on an ongoing basis. And either way, you found your way through, and you also released the trauma of it. And you can help others do the same. So do an inventory of those experiences and see what you come up with. So here's an example. In my case, I struggled for years first to figure out what my calling was. I mean, it's been like a lifetime quest. And then once I started my business, it was another 4 years to claim a niche that I'd love to serve as an expression of that calling. So I know a lot about this journey. So that's an example. Now, I'll be honest, even doing this exercise, it could be very fruitful, and it can also seem to generate nothing. I've had clients come into a niche discovery intensive with me. They've done extensive prep work to mine the stuff of their life, and yet they still are not seeing the clues to what could be a fabulous niche. So, you know, there are some things you just can't see for yourself because you're too close to them. But still, examining your life story and the challenges you've found your way through and noticing the ones where you feel passion for, this is a great place to start if you're tackling this on your own. And then one other thing, this is not something you do once and then you pin it down forever. Your niche will continue to evolve and refine itself over time as you and your business, you know, grow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly been my experience, that it just gets more refined and I get more brave about stepping into who it really is I'm here to serve. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, becoming more brave to step more fully into it. And it's been my experience too. All right.
So I think we're going to shift gears again, and it's time to hear from Sarai. Yes?
Are you there, Sarai? Oh, good. There you are.
Sorry, I'm a little old, so I'm needing to blow noses and things like that.
Yes, we so appreciate you being here, feeling under the weather. So, to all of you, I want to introduce you to Sarai Shapiro, got a little backwards there, of GaiaGirlsPassages.com. And Sarai is another extraordinary woman who a couple of years ago decided it was time to clarify her vision and craft work that would be deeply satisfying for her soul, it would put her in right service in the world, and it would support her for years to come. And after, you know, trying to start a healing practice and realizing that wasn't quite it, Sarai allowed a much bigger vision to flow into her. And it's a vision that's both personal to her and collective for our world. And she launched Gaia Girls Passages in it's like the late winter, spring of 2014, and soon thereafter took a small group of 9-year-old girls through an 8-week program in her friend's backyard. This is how things get started. And in less than 2 years, it's become an organization with a potent and much desired offer that's supported by a growing local community. So we're going to hear what took shape out of Sarai's passion, vision, and overstuffed medicine bag. So again, really glad you're here, Sarai.
Yeah, feeling good to be here and super inspiring to hear your story.
Yeah, I thought you two would connect. So I'm actually really excited to share your story because for several reasons. The work you've said is so unique, that you've said yes to is so unique and visionary, and it's so deeply needed in our times, and it's really very near and dear to my own heart. And I imagine it will resonate with those who want their work. You want to do great work for your clients, and you also want to shift our culture in some way so that it's more life-affirming. So, Sarai, let's get started and just tell us a little bit about, you know, what was going on for you a couple of years ago before you began this 4 Pillars journey.
Sure. So for the previous 4 to 5 years, I've been working as a director of youth programs for a rites of passage organization that brings Judaism actually back to its indigenous roots through multi-generational community. It was really wonderful work. I learned so much, and it was very dear to my heart. But I had been feeling a growing desire to be more self-directed in my work and to be able to birth something that was even closer to my own vision and heart. And I really wanted to create something that would be my own legacy that I would have as part of me going forward. So at the time, I had considered doing a women's initiation journey because I thought this would help me bring forward my gifts and skills and help me understand what my next step was. But I'd already done a lot of ceremonial work and tuning in, and it wasn't quite happening. So at some point I realized I needed to do something other than work in the mythical realm. I needed to bring it down to be able to translate into an actual business. So when I encountered you, just really synchronistically in this moment when I was trying to figure out what to do, through a shared friend and colleague, I recognized that working with you would give me the initiation into what I was looking for and also the practical guidance that I needed. So I was really excited, and I also felt once I started listening to you and talking to you, a really strong resonance with you from how you've walked your own spiritual path and from how you see business really as a spiritual practice. And that is really the only way I would want to do it for myself.
Thank you. You know, actually, before we continue, do you have your earbuds that you can put in?
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. We heard you great, but I think we'll hear you better.
That's probably better, huh?
Yeah, okay. That's a better quality sound. So thanks for that kind of initial snapshot. Tell us just a little bit about, you know, the feeling that you had while you were immersed in that.
Yeah, I was in a state of kind of irritation and frustration that things weren't moving forward in the way that I knew that they could. For years, I had been coming up with the same ideas and same thing, Kelly, vision boards and all of this, but not really being able to fully follow through because of my own self-doubt or not knowing how to walk forward in that way. So it was disappointing and disempowering.
Yep. So I know that you kind of started in one direction and then realized that there was this bigger vision. So tell us just a little bit about what you were imagining that you wanted to create for your business, and then we'll have a look at like what it's actually become.
Well, so the funny thing is that I was drawn to working with you because I know that you lead vision quests and you're fluent with ritual and rites of passage, and you've worked in organizations that really successfully do that work. So I knew you'd understand my passion. But initially, I actually thought I'd create a healing practice because that's a significant part of who I am and what I've been building towards. But I struggled with it, partly because it felt very personal and also because I was intimidated by the idea of having my own business. At some point, I realized that focusing on just the healing practice wasn't really honoring the fullness of who I was and comprehensive enough. And and it also wasn't valuing this extensive time I've spent working with children and girls and women in the wilderness and doing rites of passage work. So when I finally landed on the idea that's become Gaia Girls Passage, it really revitalized my deep passion for this work, which I actually thought I might be stepping away from when I originally started your coaching program. My business, which is now almost 2 years old, took off in ways that truly surprised me. It actually has been incredibly easy so far, and even the business and marketing sides of it have been, I think, because it really is the soul of my business called to me, and I feel like I'm in service to that.
Yeah, I often hear... Oh, we got an echo. Sallena? Oh, it went away. Okay. All I need to do is say your name and it fixes itself.
It's like mom. Call mom and everybody stops doing anything wrong, right?
Including Google Hangout. You are so powerful. Okay, where was I? So, okay, Sarai, I would love for you to share what has come into focus about the work that you're here to do.
Sure. So what came into focus, is there still an echo? I just heard something. No. Okay. What came into focus is a way to weave together my diverse gifts so that I can be in service in the way that my soul really longs to be. So in my own journey, I started working with teen girls around 10 years ago because I'd been drawn to a deeper understanding of feminine wisdom and earth wisdom. And because I benefited so much from this on my own journey of growing up and becoming a woman. So I'm also a healer with a background in acupressure and kinesiology and energetic practices and other things in those realms. And I have a really strong nature connection practice and wilderness skills practice. So I'm also an artist, musician, so I have a very full medicine bag. And it was hard for me to determine which route to go in. And with Gaia Girls Passages, it's pretty amazing because I feel like all of these parts of me get to be woven in. I sing songs with the girls, we do crafts and skills, we give gratitude, we have fires, we're doing different forms of ceremony with the girls. So it feels like it's just weaving all of it together, and I'm just astounded at that.
Yes, oh my, it's beautiful. So tell us, actually, what is Gaia Girls Passages?
Gaia Girls Passages is like a spiritual, earth-based Girl Scouts. It's probably the easiest way to describe it.
I love it.
It's based on a deeper understanding of girls' development in the context of indigenous wisdom, community, and connection to the earth. What's true is that so often in our modern world, adolescence can be difficult and even dangerous for girls as their senses of self become increasingly externally referenced in the media and all kinds of influences that are coming in. So Gaia Girls Passages supports girls from ages 8 on up to navigate adolescence in a healthy way, so they can grow a solid sense of who they are, of themselves, to stay connected to their personal gifts, and be honored for who they are and what their unique gifts are, access their own inner truth and knowing, loving and accepting themselves, and growing really into who they're meant to be, because we need them on the earth. We need people who know who they are right now.
We need women like that.
Yes, absolutely. And so we're doing this through a few avenues. First, through connecting to the earth, which helps girls feel at home and safe here on the planet. Second, through connecting to community, so they know how they have a safe and loving community of girls who are their peers, and also women who they can look up to, and really trust. And then third, we've developed an independent track for the moms, because most of them didn't get the support. Pretty much none of them got this kind of support when they were growing up. So in serving the moms, it's really helping them to heal some of the holes in their own development. So A, they can feel better in themselves, and then B, they can really be the best support possible for their daughters. And the truth is that a lot of them are scared and confused because their daughters are going from being these bright, creative, happy, playful, intelligent girls to waking up to the many facets of the world that can be scary and overwhelming. So moms are wanting to find a way to stay connected to their daughters at this time when their girls are oftentimes disconnecting. So our vision essentially is to offer mentoring programs to nurture each of the developmental stages for these girls starting at age 8, plus initiations to mark the transition from childhood into adolescence and eventually into young womanhood. And in addition to our work with the moms, we have a whole tribe of aunties, of beautiful healers and naturalists and ceremonialists and just wonderful women who are showing up to support these girls. And it's actually benefiting everyone, not just the girls. So in the future, we hope to be able to train other women to do this work. Yeah.
You know, there's something I just want to highlight here for those listening and watching, and that is that, you know, had Sarai started out and said, well, do I want to serve the girls or do I want to serve the moms, and how do I, you know, it's like she didn't even know about the moms. She started somewhere, and then it has expanded into something far more than she could have imagined when she got started. And so it's such a testament to, like, just start in the place where you can get traction and have passion, and it grows from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So just briefly, tell us a little bit about what kind of offerings does Gaia Girls Passages currently have? Because I think it's going to inspire people to see what has emerged in a relatively short time frame.
Yeah, so this summer we did our first multi-day sleepover camp for girls and their moms, and it was really, truly magnificent and wonderful experience. Now we have 4 local groups that have just started for the fall. 2 of them are introductory 8-week series for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that I call the Wildflowers. And this is a great series that gives girls and their parents an easy way to check us out and see if this is something they want to continue doing. And then we have another group that started last year that's now in its 2nd full year, and those girls are really becoming nieces for me, you know, it's a very special group. And we're launching our first intentional rite of passage group for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and that's a 2-year journey. And it has 8 girls in it.
So,
yay! Fantastic! Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to see who's showing up too. Just really people that, like you say, the right people are really coming forward. The ones who are looking for something like this, and I'm offering something for them. So next will probably come a teen program, and at some point I won't be leading all the programs. I have aunties who are currently co-leading who will probably take over some of the groups. And ideally, in the long term, these are long-term intact groups that continue together through the whole sequence year to year. So we're building a model as we go each year and really listening to what Gaia Girls is wanting. And the girls love it, and we hear a lot from the girls and the moms just how exquisite and life-changing this work is for them.
Wow. It's not like I'm a stranger to it, but it still just moves me deeply every time I hear of it. What do you see possible for your work at, kind of at the level of changing culture?
Well, part of what I'm really seeing is a need to shift from a culture of isolation, kind of nuclear family, where parents struggle to raise their children on their own, often feeling overwhelmed and under-resourced. I'm sure we all are parents that feel that way or know parents that feel that way. And what's true is that the human spirit and psyche has been formed over thousands of years, having lived in intergenerational tribal situations. So when we come back into even just the teensiest bit of contact with that, there's a deep awakening and remembering that happens, and a lot of transformation is possible there. So in the kind of intergenerational community that we're creating, the mother-daughter relationship relaxes and really sweetens because there's not as much pressure just weighing down that one cord of connection in that critical relationship. So it's something I've intuitively known for a while, and I've seen kind of in other programs, but it's something I'm really focusing on here, and I'm really seeing that it's working for that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay.
So how about your relationship with your business? How has it evolved through all of this?
Yes, grandmas too. Who said that, Gabrielle? Agreed. Yes, we do have some grandmas that come in, and that's something I've been thinking about, is how to bring them in more. Thank you for saying that. And yes, and other elders and women. Let's see. So you introduced me to the concept that my business has its own soul and really destiny that I can co-create with. And I believed you, but I didn't, I hadn't experienced that yet. So I really felt when I did my medicine walk, that was my big opening around this. I really felt the truth of that with Gaia Girls passages. In fact, it's so clear about what it wants to become that I have to make sure it's also what I want at times. So mostly it is what I want, but I consistently need to communicate with it to be sure it also supports me and that the pace is really sane for me. It's like the negotiations that happen really in any long-term relationship. So together we've really become a partnership, and where both voices are essential. Within that, yeah. So it feels really special, and it's an evolving relationship. It definitely feels like there's intimacy that's growing, and there's times when I back away, and times when I come closer, and all of that. So there's really a mystery that's unfolding, and it's lovely.
Yeah. Yes, you describe it well. It is an intimate, long-term relationship.
It is.
We got an echo again.
Oh,
it went away. Good. I think it's a little bit of your connectivity, but it seems to have leveled out. Often it's easier to have a business. I heard this in Kelly's story, although she's earlier in the path than you are. But to have a business that's about a bigger mission than one that's kind of maybe smaller or more personal. And part of what I hear, and I've witnessed, is that you said yes to being the leader of this mission.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what it really feels like. There's something very alive and dynamic that's happening that's not about me, which has made it much more easy to access and less intimidating for me, actually. It's taken some of the pressure off, although in other ways it's put a different kind of pressure on.
because I feel like I'm serving something so much greater than myself.
Yeah, I get that. How about you? How have you changed through this?
Well, I can really say that the inner conflict and self-doubt that really plagued me for a long time and kind of held me back has been replaced with a sense of confidence in knowing that I can and that I am creating something powerful and meaningful for the world. I'm also trusting my instincts and trusting in my own instincts and really seeing that things happen, great things happen when I do. And I'm learning how to release some of my egoic ideas of how I might want to be seen or validated, and instead focusing on how I can be well used in service while also being well supported for myself.
Great combination, being well used in service and well supported in return.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish that for all of us on this call today.
Thank you. Me too. Yeah. So just to wrap it up here in our conversation, anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I guess I just want to also express my gratitude for the way that you, Susanna, have really honored my spirit and what's underneath, and helped me to keep surrendering to my deeper calling while offering really practical guidance on how to bring my vision to the world. Many folks don't really know how to take the vision that's up here floating around in the head or the heart and then bring it down into the physical. So it can create disappointment, and I feel like you're this amazing champion for my work. I feel so supported by your authentic excitement for my vision and your commitment to my own personal thriving and desire to be fully realized. So especially those moments when I'm at a crossroads, I'm confused, or I'm having doubt, you just have this bright spirit that comes in and infuses me and reminds me of my purpose and what I'm doing here, and regrounds me into what I'm doing. So ultimately, you're helping me unfold this vision in a way that's deeply connected to my soul, and that's something I don't know if I could have done on my own, honestly. So thank you so much. And I recommend working with Susanna for this. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarai. Thank you so much for having the courage to say yes to this truly stunning vision, and for to keep listening to how it wants to express itself. I mean, from the way I see you, you are such an example of grace in action as you unfold this work, and I love that it's transformative for for everyone, really, the girls, their families, for you, and that you're helping to create a new paradigm of culture. So thank you for sharing your story. Great gratitude from my heart to yours.
Thank you, Sallena.
So let's take just a minute to reflect on Sarai's story and maybe share in the chat what lands in your heart and feels like a light to guide you in growing your own business. So go ahead and post in the chat and we'll quickly move on.
Great. So just, to remember that because Sarai embarked on the Four Pillars journey a couple of years ago, her story reveals how far you can come once you're clear what your business is and you've got the right focus for you. The other thing I want to just point out is, I often see complex, multi-passionate, visionary folks choose a focus for their business that's relevant, and yet it's not sufficiently expansive for them. And we heard some of that in Kelly's story as well. Yet for both of these women, when they had the courage to say yes to what was really calling them, the fullness of it, the challenges began to melt away, both inner ones and outer ones, and the path ahead actually became easier, even as the mission is more complex. And then the last piece I want to just shine a light on is how much Sarai grew in this process. And this is the case for everyone who does this journey. That self-doubt she talked about, it melted away. Her previous intimidation with business morphed into a surprisingly natural ease. And she stepped into a new power and cultivated authentic confidence and grown herself as the leader of her vision. And she's really boldly walking this path of making her true mark in the world through this, flourishing business that is a beautiful contribution. So, yeah.
Great, and thanks, Sarai. That was a beautiful story. So, are we ready to move into the third pillar? The third pillar is called creating the body of your work.
Okay, you know what? I need to clear my... A lot of talking. So once you know who you serve with your great work and you're making sure you continue to be informed by the guidance from the soul of your business, next you need to give form to how you help them. Okay?
Yeah, so actually I can clarify that you're not talking yet about how to design a program. That comes later, right?
Right, yes. What we're talking about here is creating your own unique process or signature system for how you help the people in your niche. And, you know, if you're like most visionary creative entrepreneurs, you've got what I call this overstuffed medicine bag, and it is filled with like the gifts, talents, tools, teachings, techniques, experience, knowledge, wisdom, all this stuff you've accrued in life thus far. And it's a rich repertoire that you draw from to facilitate the transformation you make happen. Now, it would be great if, you know, like all you had to do was show up, be brilliant about your subject, be artful in what you do, and your ideal clients would just sort of flock to you like bees to honey. But it's an increasingly crowded marketplace, and it doesn't work that way. And the alternative, where you just sort of rummage around in your bag of possibilities every time someone new comes to you for help, it's just not an efficient way to turn your great work into a thriving business. It can feel good in the moment, you know, here's the perfect thing for you. But eventually, this approach will burn you out, and especially because most folks who do this don't charge appropriately for their services. And so ultimately, you're going to want to sift and sort and structure all of that medicine and magic into a clear system that spans, if this is the entire scope of your business from A to Z, you know, and it allows the people in your niche to recognize its relevance to them and to see that you're someone who can help them. And this is just as important if you're an established entrepreneur and you're moving in a new direction, because often that emerging work, it's vague, it's unformed, it's kind of like a feral kitten, and you go to reach for it and it's just whoosh, gone, dart away into hiding. Either way, having a clear signature system, it enhances your credibility in the eyes of your ideal client. It gives them a sense of hope that making the change they want is actually easier than they might have imagined. For you, it means you can deliver your transformation with far less effort on your part because you're not making it up anew each time, and that conserves your energy and it translates into higher income and greater impact with a whole lot more ease. So to be clear, your signature system is the work you're already doing with clients, or you intend to do if you're just getting started, but it's structured into a clear, highly marketable system that your ideal clients understand, appreciate, and want to invest in. And again, I'm talking about a system at the level of your entire business.
Yeah, okay, Susanna. So can you say something about this not having to be step-by-step system? Because those make me really nervous.
I know they do. We'll hear more on that in your story. So your signature system might end up being a clear sequence of steps, but it could also be a mix of elements, or, you know, several principles that need to be honored, but in no particular order. So it could be linear, or it could be nonlinear. If your magic, like, don't try to force your magic to be linear if that's not how it really wants to be.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Phew. You can relax. Now, defining your signature system is essential, but it's really just this high-level outline, so it's not enough by itself. You need to then give it depth and breadth, so it's, you know, it's richly defined. It captures your life wisdom. It includes teachings, processes, practices, experiential exercises, all the stuff that it's going to bring it to life and weaves it together into an integrated body of work that becomes the sourcing ground for all your programs and services. And this is where I see many entrepreneurs struggle. You know, it can be a relief to be able to coherently say, you know, when someone asks you, what do? You know, if you can be coherent and say, well, I have this 7-step system for creating, you know, XYZ results, you know, fill in the blank. But it's just not detailed enough to be useful to you when it comes time to crafting transformative programs.
Yeah. You know, I'm actually curious to hear in the chat who might have found it challenging to go from, these are my people, to creating a program for them in which they really want to invest.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear that too. Because, this is where every program I took left me on my own. Because on the one hand, I had a bunch of steps that I'd outlined, that were the journey of transformation I was called to guide my people on. And honestly, I slapped that first version together in 15 minutes, and it was a very simple overview. That was supposed to be it. That was enough. And then on the other hand, I had this overstuffed medicine bag that was this mashup of my life's education, experience, knowledge, wisdom, all that stuff, lots of complexity, most of which hadn't actually made it into my signature system. And the thing is, most people have no idea how to bring those two together in a way that creates a whole, an integrated body of work that's complete enough for now so you can actually get out into the world with it, but that will also continue to evolve, and that supports crafting truly transformative programs that your clients, ideal clients, will be inspired to pay you for.
You're right. Most folks struggle big time with this, and I hear that you did too, but it turns out you're really gifted at helping others with this.
I actually really am, and I love doing it.
Yeah.
So
what suggestions do you have for folks who want to start playing around with this? It sounds like in the chat most people are saying it's very challenging and it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can give us some tips.
Sure. So even if your signature system isn't linear, for the moment, imagine it as a journey that takes your ideal client from where they're struggling to where they want to be. And so on the one hand, you see your ideal client, they're coming to you, they're frustrated with some everyday real-world challenge that you happen to be perfectly suited to help them resolve. And then, on the other hand, imagine that they have broken through that to the other side of that struggle, and they're feeling elated from having, stepped into the vision that they deeply desire for themselves. And then ask yourself, well, what steps would you take them through to get there? And then identify everything that needs to happen for your ideal clients to achieve that big, beautiful outcome they want. And focus in on what's your zone of genius to offer, and keep going until in your mind's eye they've gotten the results they were after. That's the simplest way I can offer you to outline your signature system. Now, if you were working with me, that would be a starting point. Then would come this really exciting part of fleshing it out and dumping out the contents of your medicine bag and organizing all that goodness into what's destined to become a whole and integrated body of work for serving your niche. And when you think about this as like a metaphor, a body has substance. So your body of work is going to have substance, whereas your signature system, it's kind of more like a backbone. So very different, but starting with the backbone gives you a scaffold upon which to expand for now, and then also as you go forward. And what I've also found is clients who do this, they often say like, oh my God, I had no idea I had all this available. So it allows you to really appreciate and value what you have to offer, which makes creating a program a whole lot easier.
Thanks, that was great, and I'm going to share a little bit about how that works for me when we talk about my story in a bit.
Well, the bit has arrived, because that's where we're going right now. So since I already introduced you at the start of our Hangout, Sallena, let's just dive in together, shall we?
You bet.
Okay, so to get started, I want to acknowledge that when we met, you already had decades of experience in a variety of business areas. And you had this kind of Midas touch in almost every one of your past professional endeavors. And if you would humor me, just to give sense of folks a sense, this was Sallena's background. She had been an organizational development consultant, founder of a business mentorship firm. She was an owner of a bed and breakfast with horses, director of a cosmetology school. She was a career counselor, an executive recruiter, a workshop planner. She was a nonprofit executive director. She was an interior designer. She was a real estate developer. She was an esthetician. Are you getting tired just hearing this list?
I am.
Right. So, your medicine bag was crazy full. You had so many ways you could make a difference that you didn't know where to focus. And if I remember, you wondered if it was even possible to weave a coherent business out of that crazy, diverse, jumble of experience. And just so folks know, you completed the Four Pillars journey 2 years ago and have been further developing your business since then. And I invited you to share your story because, I want folks to hear how you were starting over from scratch with no idea of what to do. And yet once you got sufficient core clarity about your business, what you've created in the last 2 years, it's truly astonishing. So before we get into that exciting stuff of how you, birthed this new business, you have clients seeking you out, tell us a little bit of just like where you were, what was up for you before you began the Four Pillars journey.
Sure. Well, you could say that I was born with entrepreneurial blood in my veins. So I've always known that working with or for or among other entrepreneurs is something I'd be doing, regardless of the specifics. And in addition, I've always had this natural curiosity and bent towards psychology and leadership and group dynamics. So as a result, I was like a natural leader, and I was always called into leadership roles from the time I was in grade school. I remember that. So, but as a career, for example, if I started out as a consultant to an organization, pretty soon I was asked to be the leader of that very organization. It happened over and over again. That's why there's all those crazy different jobs I had. So I'm also a risk taker, and so stepping into those big roles was usually quite exciting at first and very flattering. And yet, despite the great outward success in those many diverse leadership ventures, it had all come at a really significant cost to me. I was always responding to what others wanted and needed, and as opposed to an authentic, inspired path that came from within. And so even though I learned a lot from those situations, ultimately it was really stressful and I burned out several times. Yeah, so when I arrived at the Four Pillars doorstep a couple of years ago, I was so done with that cycle. I wanted to source a completely new business from my sacred calling and really from my dharma. That was where I was committed to understanding and where my life purpose was going. And I wanted a new business that would fill me up and not exhaust me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious if you want to just say a little bit about how that felt.
Sure. Well, I always showed up as an expert and kind of billed myself as an expert in communications and leadership. And folks kept asking me to do more and more, I guess because they developed confidence in me. And I was pretty good at nearly everything I tried. And because I felt honored and needed, I always said yes. But I developed a lot of stress-related health issues from repeatedly pushing my body to its breaking point. I probably could have used Kelly back then. And on the inside, I felt like shattered glass. And I finally had to say no, that I was done being everybody else's hero.
Well, I'm glad you did say. I thought I was muted for a moment. I'm glad you did say no, finally. So tell us a little bit, like what, if anything, had you done up till that point to get your business going?
Well, because my last big consulting job turned into being the director of a beauty school, I started writing a curriculum for beauty school students about how to market themselves and how to be in business with a focus on presence and customer service. Now, it was exciting at first, and it was a big project that required a team to get it going, but I just didn't have the energy, and I didn't have the traction, and soon I felt without direction. So I started looking around for a coach in a program that would sort of be like a reset button, and to tell you the truth, Susanna, I was looking for a business development program that could help me put my big life purpose into action. And because I'd been an organizational development trainer for so many years, I had super high standards and expectations for training programs. So I just couldn't see the value in many of the business coaching programs I explored with their so-called proven plans. I had X-ray vision. I could sort of see between the lines. So I'd spend a lot of time gleaning a few insights from the free stuff that people offered, and I actually interviewed a couple of business coaches, but didn't really find anything. So I guess in a way I saved myself from wasting a lot of time and money.
Yeah, yeah. So you've acknowledged that there are a lot of business coaches out there. I'm curious if you would say what drew you to me, working with me.
Well, I kind of stealthily sought you out, and when I started hearing you speak and doing one of these programs, I just immediately loved you, and and beyond that, I developed a profound professional respect for you, and I really appreciated what I heard. I heard the solid foundation that you offered, and the idea of getting clarity at the beginning to set your trajectory for where you wanted to end up. And I also appreciated that you offered this potent mix of deep and thorough content, and you had artful articulation, and you wove it together with metaphors and story. I didn't feel like I was sitting in a college lecture. And when you talked about transformation, you didn't use the word lightly, like so many people do, which meant a lot to me because of the transformative focus of my education and my earlier consulting too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, these days everything, lose 5 pounds and it's transformation. So tell us the essence of what has come into focus about, this new work that you're here to do.
Well, the essence. So when I entered the 4 Pillars program, I knew there were 3 things that would need to be honored throughout it. The first one was that I knew, and I still know, that I'm here to facilitate the expansion of human awareness and consciousness. And that I have really strong leadership skills, leading groups from just a handful of people to a few hundred. And I've come to think maybe they're not even skills, maybe they're actually gifts. And the third thing that was important is that the psychology of communication, so the verbal and nonverbal and even transpersonal communication, is really vitally important to my work. So with those touch points, I weeded out a lot of things, even things that I'd done really well in the past, but I didn't like doing and I didn't want to do anymore. And in that process, I realized that I actually knew a lot about standing in front of the room, from training and leading groups over the years, but I didn't feel called to be the headliner, the one on the stage. So I kind of got stuck there for a little bit, but then without having to throw the baby out with the bathwater, I got really excited by the idea of leveraging my goal of facilitating the advancement of consciousness and awareness through other conscious change leaders. So empowering them to be more effective in fully expressing their gifts to their communities and in leading with heart and drawing upon inspiration and maybe divine guidance. So instead, now my work is about mentoring those leaders and empowering them, those who have an inspirational message to share, and teaching them how to do that exquisitely well as they're in front of a group. So that led me to what I'm doing now, which is producing, facilitating, emceeing events, and helping leaders with their personal presence and their communication style and their leadership. And I have a sense this is just the beginning, and there's a lot more to come that will incorporate some of the things that are still in my medicine bag, like my sense of aesthetics and interest in etiquette and hospitality, and most importantly, this maturity of leadership for our new time. Yeah.
Well, you're already, you're seeing it in action right here today. So tell us a little bit about what's happened, what's happening in your business as a result, maybe a little bit about where this is taking you.
Sure. Well, I realized that rather than put together something based on what I'd already done, I was called to create something completely new by looking forward and by moving into communication and events that are quickly moving and quickly evolving and taking us all forward collectively. So during the 4 Pillars program, I created this body of work for this event focus. but it's not that step-by-step sequence of programs for leaders. That scares me. But it's more a matrix of relationships between like nodes and projects.
I love that.
Yeah. So my work still has clear definition, and yet it's constantly evolving. And in a way, you could say that the 4 Pillars program gave me a map for unfolding my business in a spiral path that deepens with each cycle. And since then, my business has really taken off. First, it was around the virtual events because they're an easier and more nimble way for people to focus and deliver information and even transformation. And the technology is fast-moving and innovative, which I love. And this year, it's evolved into a combination of virtual and in-person events. And I just love being on this particular leading edge. So I jump into something early, and luckily I'm kind of nimble at adapting it. And so I'm working with emerging technologies in new and innovative ways that few others are. And again, I sense that this is just a beginning, and there's a lot more that will incorporate some of those other things in my medicine bag. And underneath it all, it's less about consulting to and more about collaboration and collective creation with other leaders.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You know, I think maybe, is your microphone brushing on that beautiful scarf I gave you? Because there's this scratching sound.
It might be. I'm moving around. I'm kind of passionate, so I'm moving around a lot, jumping. So I'll see if I can hold it still a little bit more.
Okay. So where was I? I think what I wanted to ask you was just a little bit about how your relationship with your business has evolved as a result of this.
Well, you know, until you taught me about the idea that my business has a soul, and then I went on a medicine walk with it and began partnering with it, I'd never thought about my business being anything other than me. I thought my business was based on my experience and my know-how and my willpower and my past, and so we had no relationship. So now it's, by contrast, it's informing me, and it's leading me as much as I'm leading my business, and I see it as my partner all the time. So I think what's emerged is this sense of calm curiosity, and when things don't go as planned, I don't push harder. I just stop and ask my business how it wants to express itself, and then I listen. And this has released a lot of anxiety, and hopefully I'll stay healthier longer. And I've developed incredible patience with myself, not just in business, but in the whole of my life.
Nice. Was there anything that surprised you in any of this?
Well, you know, I was surprised that this new business didn't pop into form and fall into place overnight, because the old part of me was expecting that. I'd lived on this project hyperspeed adrenaline for decades. So in a way, I was really relieved that this new, more sustainable pace could take the pressure off. And I've come to appreciate that there are cycles to things and right timing, and that I was willing to let go of trying to figure it all out ahead of time. And I released the impulse to control my business, and when I did, magic just started to pull in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen that happening. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, things that you could have never imagined, and people who you couldn't have imagined are just showing up and saying, like, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, anything else, you know, that you might want to just say that I haven't thought to ask, or anything you want to offer to our listeners? Just keeping in mind, you know, some folks may be wondering, like, is this a journey I need to take, want to take, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, there's so much I could say. Let's see. I guess I would just want to give a context a little bit. A year after I completed the 4 Pillars program, I was blessed to co-lead a group of 10 through the program with you. So beyond my own experience, I've witnessed the profound results that this can offer many, many people, and it's been such a joy. And for me, the path of entrepreneurship is the path for inner and outer spiritual evolution. And I think it is true for a lot of people who are called to have their own business. And the 4-pillar program, and you especially, Susanna, really support you as you do the work. And this is required whenever we're doing such innovative and entrepreneurial ventures. But I think, as I said before, I have a super sensitive BS meter that quickly recognizes quality teaching and superior leadership. And I really searched. I searched for more than a year, and I was prepared to invest whatever time and whatever money it took in a program that would help me get to a new level of clarity and press my own reset starting a new business while honoring all of my accumulated life wisdom. So once I discovered your program, I just immediately knew it was for me. The program is really high touch and personalized. I didn't want to get lost in one of those big programs, and it works really well, no matter what level of business experience you previously have. And my experiences were complex and varied, to say the least. But I was in a group with people who were just starting for the first time, and it still worked, and we learned from each other as we went along. And yeah, I guess I'll finish by saying that I'd like to think that the most important teachings in the program, and one, Susanna, that you don't usually get the chance to highlight in a forum like this, are those underlying principles for future decision making that you teach. And so when when students feel a strong decision making, feel strong in their own decision making, we build self-confidence and, well, even a sense of grounded self-authority. Then a powerful partnership with Soul Your Business is possible, and you can emerge from the program with not just a pretty snapshot for your business, but a living set of tools which will repeatedly serve you as you grow and evolve. Susanna and the 4 Pillars program doesn't just feed us for now. It teaches us how to cultivate, plant, grow, and harvest through every season. And it's such an immersive and high-touch program. You get all kinds of support, and you know, it really helps you focus on your personal situation. So for people like me, whose industry changes quickly and like overnight, you have to have well-integrated methods and touch points that act both as a foundation and as a compass. And the unique design of the 4 Pillars program, and believe me, I've seen a lot of programs designed, but combining that with Susanna's capacity for seeing and reflecting that magic that lives within us, often those special and blessed parts we even can't see for ourselves, that's just remarkable.
Thank you, Sallena. Wow. Ooh. A little speechless. You know, thank you for sharing, first for sharing your story. It's so infused with magic along the way. And I really hope that it helps others see possibilities for themselves, especially if you've had, you know, already created success in other businesses and you're wondering what's next. And you know, Sallena, it's just been an incredible joy to support you. First emerging the business, then, you know, I'm constantly marveling at what comes forth at each turn, and just can't wait to see where it goes from here. So
thanks. You've been a great friend and a super colleague.
Yeah, thank you. So, you know, raise your hand in your heart if there's something in Sallena's story that opened you to new ideas for your own business. And if you're inspired, you can go ahead and put that in the chat. What I would like to highlight is how Sallena, you know, she really honored the incredible depth and breadth of her experience and her wisdom, and yet she allowed something completely new to come forth, and it's feeding her pioneering soul, and it's really growing like gangbusters. I mean, she's not really doing much marketing. People just show up. So that's pretty amazing. And so for you, like, you know, what business possibility awaits you, and not the one that's necessarily already, you know, etched into your memory or it's bound by what you think it's supposed to be, but the one that's there waiting for you, depending on the choices you make going forward. And what if you said an unequivocal yes to that yes Kelly was talking about?
Yeah.
So actually, I know that we're coming up on the top of the hour, and we still have Pillar 4, but for folks who may have to leave at the top of the hour, I just want to say that we are opening the doors to this program that you've heard these three women mention. And so, Sallena, could you put that link in the chat again? In a little bit here, I'm going to talk about it, but if you want to hear more about it or read more about it, it's actually reweavingtheworld.com/4 and then Pillars program. And you'll hear it. You can see people in the chat who have taken it, who are like Gabrielle, just commenting that she's graduated from the amazing 4 Pillars program. So if you're curious and feel that might be for you, have a look, and I'll say a little bit more later. Oh, okay. So I think we're going to go into Pillar 4. Yeah. So this is Pillar 4, crafting your transformative program. And once you've taken this invisible magic that you make happen and you've made it visible first to yourself, and then you've structured it into a body of work for helping your people, and you understand its value, it's so much easier to craft a portion of it into a program designed to facilitate a smaller chunk of the transformation you make happen. And then over time, you can create several programs that serve your people at a variety of levels, at different points in the journey that you can help them with, at varying degrees of access to you, and at a range of fees. And ultimately, this becomes like a relationship pathway that your clients follow as they move into and through your business, with one program kind of leading gracefully to the next. Now, if you don't have a developed body of work to pull from, you can end up pouring a lot of your energy into designing a program that's primarily from the perspective of, well, here's what I want to do. And then, you try to find people who hopefully want what you've already created. And this is a one-sided approach. It doesn't honor the relationship between you and your people. And it can chew up a lot of time and money and yet still yield minimal results, because the thing you painstakingly created, it may not land with your people. Or you can spend a ton of time trying to perfect your program and never actually get it out there because you just keep working on it. You don't know if it's any good because it's not grounded in anything like a bigger body of work. So
yeah, so Susanna, before you go on, let's hear from our audience who's had an experience of pouring themselves into creating what they thought was a great program, only to have it land with a thud on the other end. So if anybody's had that experience, maybe you could share while Susanna moves on.
Right. It's probably a lot of folks because it's a common experience. And so here's an alternative. If you've done the foundational work we've been talking about, you can pull from your body of work and you can design a truly transformative program that, is in that nexus where what you want to offer lines up with what your people want, need, and are willing to pay for. Now, just to be clear here, if you're getting started, it's usually best to create a program you can deliver one-on-one, simply because it's easier to create it, enroll one person in it, deliver it, and refine it in action when it's just you and one client. And then later, if you're someone who really wants to work with groups, you can confidently adapt your tested program to a group context. But I wouldn't suggest starting with a group program because it's premature and the results will likely disappoint you. Now, that said, there's more to this than just, shopping from your body of work and slapping some pieces together and hoping that flies as a program. You actually have to consider every piece and how it fits into your program and how it will feel and be experienced by your client and how it segues from what went before and then into what comes next and how it supports the desired transformation and a whole lot more, actually.
I just love it, Susanna, when you talk about transformative program design, because pretty much none of this is taught in the various online business programs that say they'll help you design your programs.
Yeah, I know. And one approach to program design that I encountered, it said, oh, you'll offer one content call and a couple of coaching calls each month, and then a special bonus, and there's your program. I was horrified when I first encountered that, because it's a small part of designing a program, but it's completely insufficient by itself, because all it says is how you're going to parse out and deliver your program. It says nothing about what the program will actually be, or how it will synergistically flow together to optimize transformation. Then another thing I remember hearing is instructions for how to design your program, and it was along the lines of add your content. Like, that only works if you know how to do it, which most folks don't. And it's like taking a detailed recipe for this super elaborate cake and then substituting it with gather ingredients, bake cake. Like, you're never going to get the cake you want with that. And here's the thing, just because you have expertise in a particular area, or you're a great coach or mentor or healer, it doesn't automatically translate into knowing how to design, transformative curriculum. That is creating a transformative program, the kind that facilitates deep, wide, and enduring change. It's something of an art. And I personally spent it was a big chunk of time and money learning this as part of a PhD in transformative learning and change. And that was before transformation was used for everything. So I know that there are some underlying principles worth being, aware of when it comes to designing a transformative curriculum.
I so remember being wowed when you taught this in our program design intensive. I wanted it to be a whole spin-off class. So I'm wondering, would you mention a few of those principles right now?
Sure. Yeah, I have thought about that as a spin-off class. It's just on the long list of someday. So here's a few off the top of my head. Use evolving vision to draw your client forward to what they most desire. Now, keep in mind, each one of these can be unpacked into, there's a whole lot to them. Create an evocative, paradigm-shifting big picture to open up a much bigger field of possibility. That's a favorite of mine. Take into account different learning styles. Create a sense of safety while compassionately championing, challenging, and calling forth. Anchor into core values while examining and releasing inherited values. Up-level outdated beliefs, erroneous assumptions, false identities. They all just create more of the same. Offer cycles of action, reflection, learning, and new action. That one is really critical. Encourage experimentation and a spirit of adventure in learning. Acknowledge authentically and frequently. This one, I love this one. May not be for everyone, but incorporate myth, metaphor, and even ritual, things that speak to the other than conscious self. Honor the rhythm and right timing of change for each person. I mean, that's just a kind of a partial list.
Yeah. Hearing this, I really understand why you get perturbed with a lot of what's out there in terms of program design. It's just inadequate. And it leaves folks struggling unnecessarily as they try to design their programs without really knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, you know what? It drives me nuts, actually. And as you mentioned, I've been teaching my clients how to craft their programs informed by these kinds of principles. They come from things like theory of adult learning, transformative learning theory, curriculum design principles, and more. And it's been deeply appreciated. And just to be clear, this is essential whether you want to design a highly structured curriculum-based program, or if you prefer to craft more of a custom design program that draws on your expertise and is tailored to the unique needs of different clients. So
I know you have some suggestions about how to offer about how to get started designing a program. Is this a good time to mention?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So the gist of it is choose a smaller focus than that whole A to Z transformation that we talked about in Pillar 3. Maybe it's the first thing your ideal client is struggling with, or the most pressing thing. Whatever it is, it has to be something they want badly enough they're willing to invest in. It can't be something you see they need, but they don't really want. And this is an easy place to fall into. You go right past that everyday real world change that your ideal client wants for themselves, and you try to enroll them into what you think they need. And aside from being inherently disrespectful, it doesn't work. They have to want it. And here's an example. I had a client who did trauma release work. and she was considering first responders as a potential niche. These are people who experience multiple horrific emergencies every day. But she discovered that many of them were young men, and that culturally there's an attitude of, you know, suck it up, be a man. And so they might need to release this trauma in their adrenaline-infused work, but they weren't really interested. And so they wouldn't make a good niche for her, because you don't want to fall into trying to force your transformation on a reluctant tribe. Now, in terms of addressing the most pressing breakthroughs they want, it works best if it's an outcome that is relevant to their everyday, real-world needs. It's not as effective if you frame it as something like, you know, embrace your divine feminine. Now, if your work is about embracing the divine feminine, you can still do that beautiful work. It's just you're going to have to make it relevant to the everyday desires of your people, who are probably not moving through their days thinking, my life sucks and it would just be great if I could embrace the divine feminine. Like, no one thinks that way. Even if that's your work, you don't think that way. So you'll probably, you know, incorporate your focus on embracing the divine feminine into how you help people with a specific everyday real world challenge. Now, once you've got that, you know, first or most pressing need in real world terms, get clear on what your client wants instead, and that's the mini outcome your program leads them to. And then, kind of like before, ask yourself, what do they need to get there from when they enter the program to that beautiful outcome? And as you capture those ideas, a mini signature system comes into focus. Now, don't try to shovel everything into one program, because you will overwhelm your client, and you may think you're being of great service, but if they can't keep up, they'll figure something is wrong with them. And so give them enough so they can experience the success of a breakthrough and not the disappointment of overwhelm. So, there you are, the 4 essential pillars in a not-so-nutshell version.
Wow, that was really fantastic, Susanna. So I'm going to invite folks in the chat to share how this rich teaching might have landed for you. And I want to acknowledge that you gave some really great practical takeaways for folks to deal with or to work with around these 4 pillars. And I know from my own experience as a former client that we're still only skimming the surface, and that there's much more depth to them. So whether folks decide to go it alone with the tips you've offered or get your help, can you say just a bit about more who this foundational work might be for?
Sure. You know, I would say it's for you if you're committed to having your business be an expression of the deeper calling in your soul. You believe that the world needs what you have to offer. You know there's something you're meant to do, but you can't quite name it. You're probably almost there. You offer a transformational service. It's hard to describe, difficult to enroll people into. You're skeptical of quick fixes. You actually value investing in creating a solid foundation upon which to build, you know, a successful and sustainable business. You're an out-of-the-box thinker. You don't want to crawl into, you know, a cookie-cutter formula or follow someone else's, you know, version of success. And you're ready to do the inner and outer work that will bring your great work into focus and form so that you can grow a profitable business and make your true mark in the world. And you know the time is now. So if you're feeling this is something your business needs, let's look at your options. You can certainly give it a go on your own, and you can make some initial headway with the introductory teaching I've given you. But here's a secret that it might seem counterintuitive at first. Doing it yourself is not a quick and easy route. So a mentor is actually a shortcut. And going it alone isn't necessarily the more affordable option. Investing in a mentor can actually save you considerable money and time. And I didn't used to believe that, but when I added up all the money I'd spent on, you know, do-it-yourself programs and big group programs and all the income I didn't generate for several years while trying to figure it out myself, I was shocked to discover that investing in a well-chosen mentor, you know, with personal attention would have been a much wiser financial choice. So,
plus, it's just a whole lot more fun.
It is. Yes, we're fun. So let's look at the invitation I have for you, which is my group program. It's called Partnering with the Soul of Your Business, Creating the Body of Your Work. It's also known as the 4 Pillars program. It's kind of its nickname. And then we'll finish up the last part of the training with some of the potential pitfalls on this 4 Pillars journey, so that you can just, more easily find your way if you decide to go it alone. But first, the 4 Pillars program, which, no surprise, guides you deeply into and through the 4 Pillars journey that we have been exploring together. And so a little link will pop up momentarily. I think it will take over the chat for the moment that it's there. And you can click on it. It will open a new window, so you'll still be here and there. And you can read about the program. I'm going to say a little bit here. Or you can go to www.reweavingtheworld.com/4 Pillars program. And what I will say about this program is that if you show up and do the work, you should emerge knowing who you're called to serve with the kind of precision that allows those folks to self-identify as your clients. And you should know how your gifts, talents, experience, knowledge, and wisdom weave together into an integrated body of work for serving those people. And you should have created a first program to offer them, and possibly have the idea for a second program that you can, invite your clients into next. You should have also come into a new, more relaxed, generative, and co-creative relationship with your business. And all of this together gives you the core clarity you need so that you can offer your unique brilliance to the world and have the right people respond with some version of, oh my God, that's me, I need that, and then you get well paid to deliver it. Sallena, did you put that link up?
I did. It's in there a couple of different ways. I put it in, took it out, and then it's there a couple of times.
No, did you put the whole big thingy in, the picture?
I think I did. It said it did, but it's gone now.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
I removed it now.
Okay, maybe pop it up there again for the moment. So what's different about this program, and you've heard this in all the stories, is it's small. It's limited to no more than 12 participants at the most. So it is not a big program with lots of people in it. You're lost in a crowd. You're struggling to, apply a fire hose of information on your own. It's small, it's intimate, and you get a high level of personal attention from me, where I'm constantly tracking you and your progress on both an inner and outer level. And we meet weekly, so this is very robust. It's a combination of interactive teaching and group coaching calls. We have some deeper dive intensives, and then the regular group coaching calls. It's all live, led by me, with field work parsed out weekly, and robust interaction happening in between in a private Facebook group. And honestly, I've been in groups where the person leading it says, I'm very active, and then they aren't. They're just they're more like a cheerleader. I am very active in this group, and I pretty much respond to everything posted, and I've had clients say wow, your posts are like mini teachings in and of themselves. So I mean it when I say you get a level of attention that you won't find elsewhere. And repeatedly I've had program participants tell me that they've never encountered anything even close to the level of support I provide, and that it's a big part of what sets this program really in a completely different league from what others that claim to have a similar focus. I need a sip of water. So let's see, where do I want to go from here? I want to say something about the group learning. The small group nature of this program, it gives you, in addition to getting a lot of personal attention, it gives you the added bonus of being able to learn with the support of a collective and to have access to a wellspring of wisdom from your colleagues. And I I coach in a way so that it's specific for the person being coached, and I make it relevant for everyone. And so that really amplifies the learning for all. And I've led many groups over the years, big and small, in-person, virtual, out in nature, in a classroom, straight up teaching, deeply experiential, really the gamut of what's possible. And because of my experience, in groups, I have a knack for creating and facilitating a safe, supportive, and soul-honoring experience of community that greatly enhances the learning and the growth.
Yeah, I can really verify that one.
Oh, thank you. There's also several program bonuses. You can read about them on the program page. I won't go into them in detail here, but basically just there's a self-study program of mine, from sleazy sales to sacred selling. There are several 4-hour virtual group workshops with me. There's creating confidence and credibility through case studies. There's releasing false identities and claiming your true identity. There's opening the money flow. There's a private session with me to help you figure out what's next as you come to the end of the 4 pillars journey, so that you know what you need and what you don't need, and you don't get seduced by bright, shiny things. There's also a private coaching upgrade if you love the idea of doing this work in a group, and you also value having some solid chunks of my undivided attention on your work along the way. Now, this program begins on Wednesday, October 28th, and admission is by application, because, I only want to accept you into this program if I am pretty darn confident that you're highly likely to get the results you want. And so I need some information from you to be able to assess that. So, Sallena, I've never seen the thing pop up, so I'm just going to trust that the link is over there so people know how to find it.
Yeah, I got confirmation from Barb that it was there.
Okay.
So we're good.
Yeah, we had such a beautiful little banner that popped up. I don't know if you got to see it or not. So that's part of our aesthetics. So I want to say something about the program fee and the idea of sacred reciprocity, and that's come up already in our Hangout. So one of the organizing principles of life that I strive to live by is that of ayni, which is this beautiful concept from the Quechua language in Peru. And at a deeper level, it means an investment in relationship such that everyone and everything receives at least a 2-fold, if not a 10-fold, return on that investment. And if you translate it into English loosely, it means sacred reciprocity. And it refers to the sacred cycle of giving and receiving that's at the heart of life. And it's also the essence of business. And it means that when you give something of high value that contributes to the expansion of life for another, you in turn receive something of high value that contributes to the expansion of your own life. And in that cycle of exchange, life itself, capital L life, is nourished and affirmed. And so the investment for this program is a reflection of ayni, because I've been given a gift for helping people develop the richness and fullness of their great work. And anyone who's worked with me will tell you that when you become a client, I open my heart to you. I'm incredibly generous. I'll do everything reasonable within my power to help you get the results you want. And I can see people in the program or alumni attesting to that. So thank you, dear ones. I didn't ask any of them to be here. They're chiming in of their own accord. And so what do I ask in return is sacred reciprocity, a mutual investment in relationship so that we may both flourish fully. And in our modern monetary culture, that involves an exchange of money. And you can see what that is on the program page. There's a lot of other details that you can read about. Because there's 2 versions of the program and there's various payment plan options, I'm not going to just start rattling off a whole list of numbers. It'll just get mind-boggling, and it's too many numbers to keep straight. So you can get the details. Oh, you are seeing a gorgeous, I guess I don't get to see the gorgeous little pop-up. So you're seeing it. You can click on that little Learn More button on that pop-up thingy that you're seeing and I'm not, and it will take you to a page in a separate window where you can read more about it. Now, I know that something magical happens when you make a solid commitment to yourself. Like that transformation you desire begins when the moment you set that energy in motion. And so I would like to inspire an infusion of that energy right here at the start with what I call an Honor Your Intuition Savings. And that's available if you complete registration by October 16th. So it's not like hurry, hurry, rush, rush. That's plenty of time. And actually, there are a couple of important registration thresholds. I don't like to call them deadlines because nobody's going to die. So registration thresholds to be aware of on the 13th and the 16th. All the details are on that program page. Now, when you consider that, you know, a handful of clients working with you in your newly minted program could net you the amount of the program investment, and that all the clients after that would be above and beyond, then your return on investment can easily be at least twofold, if not tenfold. And then if you add in, you know, the fact that you can finally put to good use, you know, any of those marketing programs that you've already perhaps put a whole bunch of money towards, that boosts your return on investment even more. And if you widen your gaze and you consider the income you're not making while you're stuck and trying to figure out what your business is, that can add up very quickly. And in my case, I never made more than $25,000 a year until I put this foundation in place in my own business. And the first year after I did, I made about $75,000, and it's only grown from there. So for me, yeah, it would have definitely been worth investing in a program like this to support me in creating an additional $50,000 in income in 1 year. And as I said, it's only grown from there. And over time, your return on investment, it can become enormous, because once you've got this core clarity and foundation in place in your business, you are free to unfold your full vision and get paid well to deliver your particular transformational blessing to a world in need. So I invite you to look at that big picture as you're considering whether or not this is the right investment for you. Honestly, what's your business worth to you? That is the question I always come back to for myself. And so if this is sounding like a fit for what your business needs, click on that link or the beautiful banner, and whatever the thing that you click on, and you'll be taken to an in-depth review of the program. It's high level, lots of details, information on how to apply. Read through it, and if you feel yourself wanting this for your business, like wanting it now, and honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know when I'm gonna offer this again. I've been doing it twice a year, but there are changes in my business, and I might offer it in a year. I don't know. I just need you to know I don't know. So it's here now, and if you're ready now, apply. Go for it. And if you're gonna apply as soon as possible. Submitting an application doesn't commit you to the program in any way. It just lets you know, both of us know, that you're interested. And if your application looks good, we'll have a conversation to connect and to make sure this is a fit for you. And if you apply and it's not a good fit for you, I'll share my concerns. We'll explore them together. If there's a better resource I can direct you to, I will. I will not take you into this program just because you've got money to pay me. It has to be a great fit. This has to be like an awesome next thing for you. Remember also, the group size is limited, and the program has tended to fill in the past. So again, all of this information and more is available when you click on that link. Now, I need to just pause and clear my throat and get a little bit of water.
I'll talk while you do that. So I just wanted to verify that the group program, you learn not only what you need to learn about yourself and your own business, but you also learn through other people's experience. So as other people are sharing their struggles and their stuck spots, it's amazing how much you can learn from others at the same time.
Yeah, and sometimes you can actually learn more from when the attention is on other people, because you're not in the, you're not inside the picture. You could sort of just relax, feel neutral, etc. So I want to just go into, I know it looks like we might go over a little bit, but I want to talk about, some of you may feel like you just want to follow the outline I gave you and go do it yourself. And if that's you, if that feels really right for you, I honor you for making a clear decision. But before you go, I want to share with you what I see as really the 4 biggest challenges to doing this foundational work on your own. So you know what they are, and you can be kind of on the lookout for them. The first one is that it's often very difficult to see a lot of this for yourself. You know, if you're like most folks, you've been living with your particular gifts for so long that you probably don't think anything of them. You know, they're invisible to you, and it's easy to miss the full brilliance that's yours to bring forth. And you know, same with if you're calling forth a new expression to an already existing work. There's a complexity to it that can boggle the mind and much that can be missed. And so in either case, if you venture forth on your own, you may or may not find the full clarity you seek. Now, the second challenge is that even when you are able to see it for yourself, it's a bit too easy to limit yourself to an expression that's too small, you know, relative to what you're truly capable of, simply because your fear is doing its best to get you to step back from the edge and not do anything wild and crazy. So if you do this on your own and you end up choosing a focus that's ultimately, I don't know, just not too small or not comprehensive enough, you can feel stymied because your soul is trying to get you to step into a bigger, more aligned focus and claim the depth and breadth, you know, of your true work, whatever that is. Oh, my voice. The third challenge is that this is a significant undertaking to take, a significant journey to undertake. And I break that big journey down into 4 pillars. That's the first breakdown. And then I've refined it into even more, like this the most effective streamlined sequence of smaller steps to move you consistently forward so that it feels doable and you don't get overwhelmed. Because on your own, you can risk seeing it as this one kind of ginormous journey with no clear idea as to how to move through it. And it can feel overwhelming right from the start. And you know, we all know that when we feel overwhelmed, we tend to sort of like back away from whatever it's overwhelming us so that we, you know, can make that yucky feeling go away. And that can mean you never end up giving your great work this essential clarity, you know, despite your best intentions. And then fourth, I can promise you, and if you asked any of these women, they would tell you the same, is big stuff comes up along the way. You know, confusion, doubt, resistance, fear. Oh my God, really? Can I do this? All that stuff. And it's perfectly normal because you are asking the fullness, like how to turn the fullness of your wisdom and calling into a thriving business. So stuff is going to come up. When you have a strong container of support and ongoing accountability, you keep going with it. You can lean into the program and into the group, and you can lean into me when it gets challenging and you want to just run away. And I've also added in extra support where I know, some small group support, where I know you're going to likely encounter pitfalls and potholes. But if you're on your own, it's a lot more difficult to stick with the process when it turns choppy. And if you bail on yourself, it might feel like a relief in the moment, but honestly, how will it feel once some time has passed and you realize that you're no farther along doing the great work you were born to do? So these are some of the challenges and the stumbling blocks that you might encounter if you decide to do this on your own. Now, there might be others as well, you know, ones that are, I don't know, unique, personal to you that I couldn't possibly know about. These are the ones that most people fall prey to, and that I have fallen prey to myself. So if you don't want to wrestle with those challenges and, you know, risk having them sideline you or completely derail you, and you don't want to take, you know, precious time, you know, trying this and that and wondering if you're on track, and you'd prefer support and structure and guidance and love, yes, I offer you my love. As you do this work, I encourage you to apply for the program. You know, at this point, it should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway. If you've been listening to this entire training and you feel this is the support you've been looking for, I would be deeply honored and totally thrilled to help you lay this 4 pillars essential foundation for your soul-centered business so you can finally thrive and flourish financially. So those are the tips if you decide to go it alone. If you have questions that didn't get answered by what I just shared, This could be questions about the program, questions about the 4 Pillars journey itself. I'm going to linger on the Hangout after we officially end, and we'll just kind of move into the off the air. Well, we're just going to move into the unofficial part, and you can ask your questions, we can chat. If you're listening to the recording, you obviously can't do that. So if you have questions, email them to support@reweavingtheworld.com. And if you have a personal question about whether this program is a fit for you, it's probably best to go ahead and submit an application, and we'll explore that question of fit together in conversation, including if there are other ways that I can serve you. The application is really a first step for both of us in making that assessment. And, you know, it just helps me respond better to your question if I have some information about you. So start there. And if you need help with anything, email support@reweavingtheworld.com, and we will be in touch. I think, Sallena, you're going to do our prize winner, aren't you?
I am.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, so before we depart, I want to just share a little bit about the prize that we're going to give out, and we'll find out who won. I just randomly scrolled, and it felt like I was in Las Vegas or something. And so let me just tell you first, this reading, normally Susanna charges about $500. I think it's $497, and she only offers them sometimes. And it's an incredible way to deepen the access to your life purpose and the purpose that informs your work and your business. So the winner is Spencer. We have Spencer.
Spencer!
He's been here. I mean, we've had 50 people be here the entire time. So it was 1 out of 50 you got to win. And so, yay Spencer. So congratulations, and to claim your prize, maybe just type in the chat here, and then also email Susanna at support@reweavingtheworld.com. Put I won in the subject line, but we know who you are, Spencer. So we'll get back in touch immediately, and we'll get you started with the process.
Wow, oh, fantastic. Of course, I would have loved it, anybody who won, but I love that you won, Spencer. Yeah, let's move to completion, the official completion. So here's that link again, if for some reason you've missed it all along. It's for the 4 Pillars program, it's reweavingtheworld.com/4 Pillars program. And with that, I want to wrap up. You know, if you do want to stay and ask questions, then obviously stay. But I'm going to wrap up here officially. First, just a deep bow of gratitude to Kelly and Sarai and Sallena. Thank you, each of you, for being here, being here this whole time, for sharing your stories. It's a really generous gift that you've given everyone, and I'm deeply grateful that you've done that, and also for chatting with folks in the ways that you have. And Sallena, of course, I don't have enough words to thank you for all the ways that you've helped me with everything, and and with producing this Hangout. And to all of you here, whether you're live or you're listening later, you know, from my heart, thank you for caring enough about your great work to show up and receive what I've shared in this offering, in this training, what we've all shared. I've been given a gift that's about helping people call forth their great work, give it form and focus, and offer it into the world in the form of a fulfilling and profitable business. And it would be my joy to help you do this for yourself if that's something you're yearning for and ready for. And I look forward to the next step with you, whatever that is. And to those of you for whom this program is a fit and perhaps the answer to a prayer, I am ready to throw my arms and my heart wide open and welcome you into the program. And so again, thank you for your presence, your energy, your engagement, your passion. You really honor me by being here, and I want to honor you for having the courage that it takes to walk every day the unfolding path of your great work. So may you be blessed now more than ever. Namaste. Hmm.
Thank you, Susanna. That was fabulous.
Yay.
Thank you,
So-
Susanna. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Sallena.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Everyone.
you.
Signing off.
Okay.
Okay,
Feel better.
bye,
Take
Sarai.
care, Sarai.
Yeah, feel better, Sarai. So nice to meet you.
Good. Well, we still have a lot
If
of
we have
people
some
here.
questions, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see if we can scroll backwards. I think the first question that got asked a couple of times is by Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
You see it there? Can you talk about the time that we would need to invest?
Yes. You know what? Can I come back to that question because I want to pull something up where like I'm not the best person to tell you how much time it takes. So I actually queried a whole bunch of past participants and I'm trying to find that document right now. So in fact, Kelly, I mean maybe there's something you could mention about that. I think I'm almost at the point of finding it, but if there is.
Sure, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I responded briefly on here, but you actually pulled up that document because I had that same question when I was wanting to enroll.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it, I remember you saying it really varied for different people, and you gave me a couple of different quotes, which was very helpful. But just from my perspective, I would say sort of the arc of it was that in the very first pillar, when we started with the medicine walk and then did, more of the sort of introductory work, it was a little less intensive and maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 hours a week. And then as it intensified or as we moved into the other pillars, and everyone's different and how much time you put in is how much time you put in, but like the writing, field work that you would give us or the interviewing field work, it's really, how much you dive into it. But I would say that I probably put in, 10 to 12 hours a week on really intense weeks, but then there might be a couple weeks in that month where it was more like 3 to 5. So it's nice to create space for it so that you can really deeply dive in, but you can do as much as you do.
Great.
And yeah, so.
Thanks, Kelly. Here's a couple of other responses that I think that confirm that and also flesh it out. Someone says, for me at the beginning it was about 5 hours. Towards the end it had become, and then it was more like 10 hours, and towards the end it had become such a part of me. I was thinking about it every hour of every day. I've had people say, like, I wake up to, I've been dreaming about my work, and then someone else said there were weeks I put in 6 to 12 hours, and other weeks I only spent a couple of hours besides the calls. If something comes up, flexibility is possible, as is catching up in following weeks. There's usually a week break in between pillars so that you have some time to catch your breath or to get caught up or what have you. Someone else said, I would agree that with about 10 hours a week, although at times it felt like 100% of my available time because I was folding everything in this program into my business. So, there's the program itself, but then there's your business, and at some point they become one and the same. Someone else says it takes as much or as little as you want. You'll get out of it what you put in. After a while, it sort of becomes part of you. For me, it was always on my mind. Sometimes I needed to step away for a bit, and other times I devote blocks of time for it, even go away and work on it for the whole weekend. And someone else said, the amount of time and work one puts in is fluid, just as the 4 pillars are fluid. Sometimes the soul of your business really needs you to pay attention to it, and other times it's toddling along pretty well on its own. So there you have it. What other questions do we have?
There's a question from Andorra. Get close to the top there. She says, thanks for such an enriching presentation. It was incredibly meaningful. I'd love to enroll in the 4 Pillars program, yet the investment is not workable right now. Is it still worth applying for your preliminary conversation?
It's a great question. The conversation is really meant to determine whether it's the place where you raise your hand and you say, I'm really interested in stepping in this program, and I'd like to do it. I'm pretty sure I'd like to do it. And then we explore, like, is that actually so? Is it a fit? See what kind of questions you have. So if you're clear that you really are not able to do this now, then I would just ask that you, like, we could talk later, but I need to really reserve my time now for the people who know they're a fit. I don't know if you noticed that there are payment plans, and that might, I've actually made a couple of them so that there's options. You could go for a 6-part payment plan, and that might make it more accessible for you. So,
Susanna, could I
go
just
ahead.
offer something too? Yeah. So I want to just offer that, I've been in that situation sometimes when there was something that I thought was super important and valuable to me, and I didn't have the resources or funds. And I think just having a conversation, maybe not with you, but with someone else to get some other perspective about where the funds might be able to be sourced from is generally offers some insights and surprises. So I've been through that, and some friends sort of offered that conversation to me, and I actually found some money.
Well, it's actually great. I appreciate that you brought that up, because I've had that experience too, where there was a program I just knew in my bones I needed to be in this, and I had no idea where I was going to get the money. And it happened. I remember it happened twice. That really pops for me, and the money came in the most miraculous of ways that I could have never anticipated when I was still feeling like, well, I can't afford this. So, here's what I would say, Andorra. Here's what I'm going to say. Fill out an application, and I'll see how I can, where I have time. Like, I need to prioritize the people who really know they want to do the program. The application will do a lot for you, and fill it out, submit it to me, and then we'll see how we can find a time. It may not be right away, though. Okay? How does that sound? All right, let's see. Any other questions?
I've gone back to the chat, and it seems to chop off at about midway, and I don't know why. Maybe it doesn't on your copy, Susanna, but there were some really early questions, but I think probably they got addressed. We still have 30 people here with us, though, so if someone's hanging out with more questions, please be sure and ask. I appreciate Maria saying that she asked the universe for a miracle. That's fabulous. Yeah.
That's what I did. I mean, I had a whole story about one of the times where the miracle came from, and it was actually, it brought some incredible healing into my relationship with my father. Yeah. I mean, he was never in my life, and he was gone for 32 years, not a peep out of him, and then he reappeared, and so we had this tenuous relationship, and I asked him for a gift, and I presented it as an opportunity for him to be there in a way that he had never been there for me, and the man moved mountains to get the money and gave it to me as a gift, and it totally changed our relationship, and for the first time ever, I felt like he was showing up for me. So in addition to getting the gift of stepping into that program, it was really an extraordinary healing, the process of getting the funds for it. So, for whatever inspiration that offers you, there's a story. Bye, Brenda. I see you have to go. I love that you're here.
Yeah, that is fabulous. We had lots of wonderful friends and family here as well, and lots of new faces, so it's exciting.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe I was just so dang thorough that nobody has any questions. That sometimes happens.
It does indeed. Well, I bet you're tired. We've been at it for a while, so maybe we'll just say goodbye to the 27 people who are still here with us.
Okay, yeah.
And
I thought there was like 70 or something, 80 when we first started. Yeah,
yeah, there were. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
These are the marathon runners.
right. So we'll be showing up in the Facebook group, and I'm sure Susanna will be there soon. And if you have questions, just post them there.
Yeah, or again, you can send your questions to support@reweavingtheworld.com.
That's even better.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Many blessings to you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kelly.